Welcome everybody to what is going to be the first of, I think, 8 streams watching all of the action over in China. It is Spiritforged time. I've actually been grinding Spiritforged. I'm going to be competing in Bologna quite soon, so I've been playing a lot this week. The format is extremely interesting, very, very different from what we had in set 1. So I'm very excited to see what happens over in China. I haven't watched any of this yet. We have already got some metadata. Basically, this starts at like 2 a.m. my time and finishes at like 1 p.m. my time. It's like the worst possible time it could be on. So rather than me watching these live and ruining my sleep schedule, because I'm not going to pull that off. I'm a bit too old for that. I'm almost 30 years old, mate. Instead, what we're going to be doing over the next 4 weeks is sort of doing a recap show the next morning. So day 1 finished about 4 hours ago. It was about an 11-hour stream. We are going to be watching in ×2 speed here for most of the part. We're on Bilibili. I kind of need to work it out, but I think it was here. Yeah, we're going to be watching a lot of action today and also tomorrow. And for the next 3 weeks in a row as well, there's going to be more Spiritforged Chinese regionals. I'm then going to be competing in Bologna. So the plan is, because I'm playing so much, watching so much, I'm going to have a bunch of deck guides ready for you guys. I've kind of taken my foot off the gas a little bit over the Christmas period with content, and I'm ready to get back on it with Riftbound in particular. It's really fun at the moment. Like, I'm really enjoying the game. I think the skill ceiling is very high. Now, they shared some metadata. In fact, we've got some of it on the stream here already. Top 3 decks, 36% Draven. Also, I do need to say thank you to the channel sponsor Card Market. If you guys are in Europe, Card Market, the biggest online marketplace. Also, you can give the video on YouTube a like. It'll help more people see it. We've got a severe list. I think this deck's pretty good. What you'll notice about this deck immediately is they have, they don't quite have the purple seal package. Most decks you expect to see purple seal, but severe, you don't necessarily need a seal for, because whenever you're paying power costs, you get like a gold gear back. So severe is like very good with this. No Ezreal, obviously, when you play Dancing Aurora. My gut feeling is Dancing Aurora isn't all that good anymore. I certainly haven't been seeing much of it, but I mean, how bad can it really be, right? I think you could argue Dazzling Aurora might be best when people don't expect it to be coming. Good to see you, Geordie. Hope you're well, mate. Has there been football on today? Hope everyone's good. But let's crack on and get into the first games. In fact, before we get into the first games, let's actually take a quick look at the metadata, which is extremely interesting. So, this tournament, for the first time in China, they also had the prizing where if you're the best performing player with a specific deck, you get like a metal card for it, which is like going to be worth a lot. So this tournament has it. 35% Draven. You imagine if that incentive to play something a little bit weird wasn't involved, you're looking at a 40% metagame. Is Draven that good? My gut feeling would be no. I think Draven's extremely good. Moreover, I would argue that purple is particularly good. I think purple is the best color. That's why you're also seeing Aurelia represented in at 12%. And those are the 2 standout ways, I would say, to play it. But also, there may be 2 of the decks which build themselves a little bit more in a way. The purple cards in this format, you can basically play 40 purple cards, and it will be an extremely good deck. When you've got Spiritforged, the power, the total card pool is doubled, right? Like, there's twice as many cards in the game now. And actually, lists were already very, very tight in Riftbound. It's my favorite thing about it. 40 cards, 3-card playset. It's very hard to get everything you want. So you can just play purple and it's pretty much good. So I think the Draven deck, the Aurelia deck, they're not too difficult to build, I would say. I think that people are going to come to very optimize this very, very quickly. A lot of the other things that I've been experimenting around with, extremely interesting on how to build them. Really, really it is. I think there's a lot out there. Purple seems a bit busted, in my opinion, though. I think that the Ezreal time shot, or if that's what it's called, you can see the best of pricing. Basically, I would say that they made a few mistakes with some of the balance with the purple cards. The production, by the way, of this, from what I've seen in the past, is crazy good. Let's get ×2 speed. Please. There, we got it. The double click was key. So we've got Fiora. Fiora's pretty good. Obviously, everything's in Chinese, but I can try and explain what all the cards do. Versus Draven, first game. Let's go. I'm so excited for this. This is actually a banger. I hope everyone's good in chat. So I'll do my best for you guys to tell you how all the cards work. Like I say, I've actually been grinding a lot. Look at the production. I have been grinding a lot in preparation for these streams, and we're going to be doing these every weekend day, basically recapping the action. It's basically the watch party. If you want to watch the Chinese regionals, right, in full with in-depth analysis and with me, we'll probably have some guests on. This is going to be the place to do it every Saturday and Sunday for the next 4 weeks or so. So the two battlefields, this one is when you have a buff here, you may draw a card. And the other one, it's called like Orn's Forge or something like this. But what it does is when you conquer here, the next gear that you play costs 1 energy less. So Draven, very, very big powerhouse. Purple is just like king, basically like the value king in this format, which will sound familiar to Disney and Arcana players. It's just extremely efficient. You've got some really big high roll lines with the purple cards. Red's got probably some of the best 2-drops in the game in the form of Pouty Poro. Gem Jammer, I think, is also exceptional. The card I revealed, I'm excited to see it. I haven't actually watched anybody else play Spiritforged yet. I've played my own games. I started this week, really, and I played a lot this week. But I haven't yet actually watched too much of anybody else playing Spiritforged. I've looked at a lot of cards. I've looked at a lot of deck lists. Fiora is, that is a blinged out deck, is good. So they've got Lucian in hand. Lucian's like your ideal aggro card. Especially when going second, you can play it on your turn 1. I love that we're getting a view at the mulligans here. Double mulligan, set, and the challenge going away. Fiora is whenever one of your units becomes mighty, which means when they have 5 might or more, you channel a rune exhausted. And one of the big benefits about the Fiora as your chosen champion is the 3-cost Fiora doesn't cost any power. So if you're going second, you've always got a really good turn 1 play. Draven is the deck to beat. Fiora looks good though. You see some Fiora decks play Baited Hook, which I think is a really good card, although I have a feeling that item removal might be quite wise to do. This guy's deck is blinged out. Now, because they're going first, it's possible they have nothing to play. Fiora costs 3. We saw a Lucian in there earlier that costs 2. Yeah, I hate skipping my first turn in Riftbound. I really do. Like, I think against Draven, especially, that's the kind of thing you probably can't afford to do in this format. I hate playing decks which skip turn 1. I really hate it. Okay, if you imagine this, Fiora costs 2 as a champ. But Lucian's great. Lucian's really, really good. I think this is one of the cards I'm most interested in this format as like an aggro player. Whenever it conquers, let me find the right spot for my camera as well. I think it's over here. Whenever Lucian conquers, maybe it's over here because I'm kind of looking at it like on that angle. Looks like I'm looking at the board. Whenever Lucian conquers, you can ready him. So I might have to pull up some card text as well. This is the one when it dies. Okay, I'm actually going to pull Piltover Archive up in my tab to the left. This one's called, I think when it dies, you can recall something else. That's Set Brawler. See, I need to like actually watch a lot. It's good. For me, this is going to be really, I need to be watching this for sure. And like improving my knowledge of the game. All of the card names improve my casting of the game. Purple. Sort by energy. Yeah, when I defend, you may kill me to move an attacking unit to its base. So we've got Draven and the Overzealous Fan. Lucian got the point. You can see they're 1 point to 2. So one thing that's really important about Riftbound is finding ways to score points without overcommitting and overextending into something. That's why Lucian's very good. Interesting decision to retreat Draven, but then continue to stack the battlefield to the left, hiding a card there for a power cost. What kind of hidden cards does Draven have? Fight or Flight, potentially. maybe switcheroo. I've been doing a ton of testing. Yeah, I mean, I started playing a lot this week, and I mean, it was exactly what I said it was. I just wanted to get the important, like the actual phrasing of it, basically. And I was spending most of my time fiddling about with Piltover. But yeah, it's not a card I've played yet. Purple Shell just seems extremely good, doesn't it? I'm also a big fan of 2-drops. I've actually not played against much Draven yet. That's one thing I really want to be doing. I'm certainly like a little bit behind on testing as well, and I make no secret of my game knowledge is not quite as good as where it needs to be. This is a big part of my prep, and it's time to get good. For me, Riftbound's been a bit of a weird one. Thinking about it, about 5 months ago was when I played the most Riftbound, when it had first come out in China, and it wasn't available elsewhere. I was really enjoying playing then, and I have to say, when it came out in the West, I talked about Riftbound a lot, but I didn't actually play it as much as I would have liked. There was no like European regional events or anything like this, right? So now that there's a European regional in a couple of weeks that I'm going to be competing in, you can be damn sure I'm going to be grafting. A little bit slow on the uptake for me. Enjoyed my Christmas period, not doing too much Riftbound, but the itch is there. I'm feeling extremely hooked. I haven't, like I say, actually watched any Riftbound though. Purple so meta warping. Yeah, hey Mage, great to see you. Yeah, I think in particular, the thing with, I think Draven's probably a little bit overhyped in terms of how good Draven is. Like Draven's, don't get me wrong, probably the best deck and it's exceptionally good, but it's really Purple that's the play. Best of prizing. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've explored enough of playing decks without Purple. It's certainly of what certainly caught my eye as well, but I imagine there's usually more to it than meets the eye with these sorts of things, but we'll have to see. I have to say that I think that Ezreal, what's it called? Warped Time. That's why I need to just have Piltover archive up next to me. I need to know the names in the exact text. Called Shot. Warped Time, bro. The legendary Riftbound card, Warped Time. So, Draven's ahead. What's very, very good about this 2-drop is a lot of the time in Riftbound, what you have to do is you have to retreat cards from a battlefield and like just basically what these cards here are doing is it's stopping the Lucian just being able to swoop in and swoop out easily, because what it's allowing them to do is it's allowing the Draven player to feel comfortable that they can hold this battlefield and they don't have to give it up, right? They can just hold. And holding versus reconquering isn't actually any different in terms of points, but the hold really is just a sign that you've denied your opponent from scoring. Really the reward for a hold is more so denying your opponent from scoring than actually it being much more valuable. Here's Akshan though. Akshan's outstanding. I think it's an extremely good meta card. I also like the idea of having it in main deck. Of course, China's usually best of ones until Top Cut, which I think actually from a broadcast perspective is probably going to be quite fun to watch. Akshan can steal a enemy's gear. Well, there is a gear. This is +2 energy, +2 might rather. And we've got the Pit Rookie Lucian, which is a total of, I believe, 5. I want to say Lucian's a 3. Yeah, he is. So it's a total of 5 to the left. 6, 10 to the right. Draven, when wins a combat, draws a card. I mean, that's just very solid. I think a big thing about Draven is the Chosen Champ is outstanding as well. I really, really just love having like a big guy that you can just play down that early. Yo, Kren, it's best of 3 tier. Let's go. Thanks so much for the prime, Kren. I really hope you're good, man. This is best of 3. Spicy. Color me surprised. So at the bottom, it's quite interesting. You've got like, I think this is something they've only done on the Chinese broadcast, but it's quite fascinating. You can actually see at the bottom the mites of everything. It's so cool, right? At the bottom here, you can see the mites of everything in play at the base, and then at the battlefields. There's nothing at the battlefields right now. It's really awesome. How that is so cool. I wonder how dynamic it is in terms of changing. 3-all. Now, the Fiora player, like, really important context here is the Fiora player missed turn 1. Missing turn 1, obviously you lose like a little bit of tempo, but moreover, the tempo you lose is in the score. Had they found a turn 1, they would almost certainly be ahead at this point, going 4-3. Whereas Draven is already in the position where they're going to potentially double conquer this turn and get up to a 5-3 lead despite being the player going second, right? That's why I'm saying like missing this like turn 1 is so bad in Riftbound. It's such a tempo-orientated game because of the point scoring system. And this is Vex. This is a very, very fascinating card which makes your opponent's spells more expensive. Not a card I've actually tested yet, but it's one my girlfriend was actually telling me that I really should test, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. A lot of the purple cards are playing purple seals as well, right? And basically the purple package is so good. What you can essentially say when you're deck building is, okay, I'm playing purple and I just need like a few unbelievably good cards from another color to just slot in. Well, Darius, Pouty, Poro, how about those? They're both insane. Yeah, let's go, Kren, I do. I'm a lucky boy. That's quite a recent development. Vex is such a powerhouse. Yeah, it seems that way. Seems like a really good closer. Like Aurelia's just looking to spam spells. You're already playing Purple Seal, so she becomes... Does she have to be at a battlefield in order for her effect to work? Or does she work if she's at the base as well? I have a feeling she might have to be at the battlefield, all right? So Big Darius is in the mixer. He's got the +2 on him. Now, if the Draven player could play a couple of spells here, he would get another +2 because of his effect. But he's 7 at the moment. There's a Ride the Wind. Looks like it's going to be on to Draven to like get him out of danger. There's going to be a riposte, which I can't remember what it does if I'm honest, but I think it also moves something. It's a signature spell. Let me remind myself what it does. I need to get good at this game. This is how we do it, chat. Riposte is choose a friendly unit and a spell, counter that spell, and give that unit plus might equal to that spell's energy. Okay, so it's a counter. Awesome. Countered. She has to be in combat herself. Yeah, I thought so. Thanks, Jace. Counter spell, give a unit plus might for its cost. Yeah, that's really good. Fight or Flight is the hidden card. Still putting in work. You have to respect someone Fight or Flight with Draven's particularly good, right? Because of the extra draw. But the card space is so tight, mate. I mean, look at how many purple cards you want to play, right? It's absolutely unbelievable. There's Gusts, there's Stack Decks, there's 2-drops. There's this Vex card, there's Mind Splitter. There's Rebukes, there's Ride the Winds. There's Ezreal, there's Fizz. It's unbelievable. There's even the purple counter card, right? So many good cards in purple. It's quite unbelievable. You've got the seals. You've got scrap heaps. Kaiser's not a bad card either. Red Kaiser with +2, so she's coming in at 6. Fiora's over at 5. Ooh, big trade for Kaiser. Kaiser's going to draw as well. Oh, draw twice because of Draven. Draven seems to just be taking over this one. Again, that problem here for the Fiora player is they're at 5. The point scoring system here in Riftbound is so important because, like, if Fiora was at 6 here, and Fiora could like do some power play next turn, which by the way they're not going to be able to. They could still win, right, and get to 8. But yeah, this game is over. I'm actually going to fast forward this because this one's super over. Trust me, guys. 6-6. We fast forward to 6-6. Was I wrong? So basically, this was the Fiora player's turn. They played some big guy at the base, and they hit a card. And then it goes over to Draven, who's at 7. So if Draven can conquer to the left, they win. Spoiler alert, they can conquer to the left. Riposte, I guess, is like another counter potentially to like a fight or flight. Fight or flight on Kai'Sa. What a card. And then he's just going to full send everything else in. The fight or flight was hidden previously. Hidden Blade onto Kai'Sa. That's gonna leave up 9. You still have to play a power for it, do you really? Even though it's hidden? Do you really? Draven starts 1-0. Missing turn 1, bro, is like, couldn't be me. I think I would just refuse to play a deck which can miss turn 1. I hate it so much. That's why I like Teemo. Okay, so we've got game 2. Turn 1 was found this time by Fiora, but also Paltipora for Draven. This card is when it becomes mighty. You draw, is it 3? You have to pay 1. Yeah, I guess. It's interesting. Oh, the Fiora! To base. Not the chosen champion, that one, but that one's when it becomes mighty, it gets ganking, it gets yada yada. Paltipora goes to Dreaming Tree, it's 1-1. Kai'Sa down at the base, and a card hidden for a power. Fight or flight, potentially. Look how relevant hidden cards are, though, in this format still. Like, it's all about, a big reason hidden cards are so good is because it's just about tempo. This game is so much about tempo. The point scoring system means you're racing, right? And in order, how do you win a race? Well, you the switcheroo! The switcheroo! It swaps the power of the Paltipora and the Fiora. So the Paltipora is now a 5. The Fiora, I guess the buff is the question. I think the buff would stay on Fiora, right? Draw 2, thanks. Not 3. Yeah, that makes much more sense. Damn, the Poro. Call to Glory's removing the buff to get +3. So it's a trade. But yeah, look at the value there of the switcheroo. Hide a card for 1 power and apply a ton of pressure in a combat. It's 2-1, 2-all now, thanks to Kai'Sa. So Draven's still very much in the mixer. Falling Star, look at the tempo. Insane, in the membrane. Wow. And knocks his hopeful down just for good measure, a card I always love seeing in a deck list. Now, this is where the game's kind of over already, unless there's some form of accelerate. Because Draven is ahead in tempo, right? Again, the game's all about tempo. They've got 2 units down on the board, and they're almost ahead in points, and Fiora has to have a turn off just at base. But they ready it thanks to Fiora. Fiora gets something ready, and now the game is very much not over. Look at that. Fiora, the yellow champ, giving the set accelerate. I think you have to pay a yellow power in order to do it. And suddenly, the tempo swings back in Fiora's favor and says, hold on, this game is not over yet. And you can see what I mean about it being a tempo-orientated game, right? They're fighting at the moment to just sort of have control in terms of the battlefields. But what you've always got to remember in the background of these games, the most important thing to be considering is actually the scores on the doors. And now suddenly we see a hefty lead. This swing with the set and the Fiora making it have accelerate was such a crucial moment in this game. Now what this means is the Fiora player goes back to being the aggressor as the player going first. If they had a slower turn where they just left stuff at base, the Draven player probably would have got themselves into a position where they can be the aggressor, and then it's Fiora playing catch up. But as it stands, Fiora now is just in a comfortable position where they can try and play low committal, score some cheap points, and just keep applying pressure. 5-2. So really, really good stuff from the Fiora play. Fiora's looking good. The Chosen Champion, I think, is a big reason to play the deck. I really like cheap Chosen Champion. I'm quite interested in Lucian as a deck as well. Also has a cheap champ. So is this called like Blood Rush or something? It's like +2 cleave. But you can repeat it, so it could be +4. And it looks like it's +4. So it's an 8-point Noxus Hopeful. Which is not too bad, is it? Yep, that's going to do the trick. And a combat 1, which means a card drawn for Draven. 5 points to 3. Stacked deck comes through. Looks like it might have been a Rebuke added to hand there. Oh, also, the Power Nexus is the battlefield of choice. I think it might be Draven's. In theory, the Power Nexus should be a very good battlefield for the player going second, as it can allow you to get an additional point. So what the Power Nexus reads is, when you hold here, you may pay 4 power to score a point. So that does a really interesting thing. In a position like this here for Draven, I think Fiora is running away with it a little bit, as it turns out. But Draven, like, probably won't this turn, but maybe next turn. That Power Nexus means that they could very, very quickly get to that 8 points, right? That additional point. Really here it's just about stopping the set player winning. So they don't need to contest the battlefield to the left. What I would imagine they might end up doing is use the Power Nexus to their advantage. Again, the player going second can make really good use of it, because that little point you can catch up at the end of the game is often that 1 point that means you can threaten to win. So you would imagine here, I mean, if they hold, they'll go to 5, 6. They really need to actually contest the battlefield off to the left here. We do see I think this is Salvage, which kills a gear and you draw a card. And then it's going to be the Rebuke, which we saw earlier onto the set, it looks like. Darius is at 7. Punch first. Akshan goes up to 10. That's a huge card in this format. And that's the game. Really, really interesting. So Fiora, the really key turn in this one was that that turn with the champion and the set. We go to game 3. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please do give the stream a like. It helps out a lot. I appreciate you. I've got some coffee because it's going to be quite a late one here. The plan is to do these streams every weekend day for the next few weeks, as we get ready for Bologna, because these Chinese regionals happen. I've got myself some coffee. It's a real treat for me to be drinking coffee at this time, let me tell you. What a treat. So Lucian at base is a really good opener. You would imagine that Fiora feels quite comfortable going second because of Lucian as an opener. The 1-drop here is when I move, get a gold gear token, which honestly, if you're the Lucian player, you've got to be tempted to take the challenge off to the right here. But there's 2 runes open here from Draven thanks to the battlefield. So it's a big decision. Do you go for the combat? And they do. No runes open. It's a big moment. Fight or flight comes through. Lucian will not score a point this turn. But 1 fight or flight down. That is a combat 1 as well for Draven. So that's a card drawn. How did this ready? Oh, the Fiora came down. Wow. The Fiora is so good, chat. The Fiora came down, a yellow rune was paid. Lucian was readied. It took the point and then it moved back. I like the look of the Fiora deck. I really, really like Lucian as a card. Like this Lucian, I like so much that it's caught, the Lucian deck has caught my eye. But I've got to say the Fiora Champ also looks sick. I like the look of this deck a lot. You can also do some nice baited hook stuff with Fiora. Fiora is probably going to be quite a popular deck though, which puts me off of it. I'm very much going to be gunning for the best of prizing in Bologna. How's my Chinese? I've got less than 0, mate. Less than 0. Hey Ninja, hope you're good. Ninja. I like a bit of ganking. Ganking's good in this game, that's for certain. So it's 1.2. That's the Sunken Temple. I can't remember what it does though. Let me check. I feel like it's something to do with your leader. When you conquer here with 1-on-1 mighty units, you may pay 1 to draw 1. That's it. Yeah, I've been playing against that. This is so helpful for me, guys, to just start becoming more familiar with all the cards, all the names, all the strategies. So thanks for being here and joining us on it over the next few weeks as we get ready for Spiritforged. We see Set and Lucian have a dig at the battlefield. And it's... Bro, I need to get so much better at my game knowledge. It's crazy. I actually have not played... I've played a lot of Riftbound with my own decks. Usually Teemo. In set 1 especially. I need to get so much better at the card names. Like, I need to be able to see the image of the card and tell you exactly what it does. Deal 2 to all enemy units in combat. We're watching on ×2 speed here. But yeah, if I was to like have to cast Riftband tomorrow, I would do a terrible job, guys. So that's why for me it's now time. I would really love to cast Riftbound. I'm extremely excited to play in Bologna. But you guys know me. Casting card games is my biggest passion. I've got a lot to learn. That's for certain. So that's what this is all about doing, really. It's about enjoying the show, get better. And yeah, use it as an opportunity to talk Riftbound with you guys. So I appreciate you all being here. Sunken Temple, dominated by Draven. It's 4-3. Darius coming through with the Noxus Hopeful. It's going to take it out. Noxus Hopeful will be gone, but it's 5 points to 7. It's another card draw. Let's remember, Draven was going first in this game, number 3, for the first time. Game 1 and Game 2, we saw Fiora go first. Game 1, Fiora missed the 1-drop, of course, or the 2-drop rather. But this is the first opportunity to see Draven go first. And you can see the pressure they're applying. 5 points to 3, barely 2 minutes into this game. Riftbound is all about tempo, mate. We see the stack deck. Imagine a Nocturne here. Nocturne, a very, very relevant card in this format. The Nocturne would have been able to come down, play to the battlefield that you're defending, and yeah, would have also triggered the Darius, the +2 cards played this turn. So it would have been basically a 6-point Nocturne there. Might have been a game-winningly good Nocturne, I think. I think Nocturne's outstanding in this format, I really do. I expect to see a lot of it. That's the Ferocious Forerunner. When this card dies, you spawn 2, 3 Might Mech Unit tokens to your base. See, I know some things. I do know some cards. Riftbound have put together a deck. Sadly, my local can't get enough players to run Nexus Knights. Yeah, hopefully you get there soon, Hot Crew. That's a shame to hear. I mean, product is the big issue with Riftbound, right? It's the big issue. I'm sure when it becomes more accessible, people will start playing more at your locals. I think Riftbound's really good as a 4-player game, which is probably easy to overlook at the moment when supply's short, but I actually think it's like super casual friendly game when for like game stores. I think like commander style stuff could be really good. So Fiora comes down, defending the base, battlefield rather, 6-5, but it's a scoop. So they just felt like, I mean, I'm trying to think what was at the base. Let's rewind for a second. Wasn't quite expecting the scoop to come through at that moment in time. I was definitely thinking Draven's in the ascendancy. It seems like a strange scoop, though, at this moment. Fiora, Lucian, Set Brawler. They're going to 7. So basically the reason they scoop here, because Draven certainly wins, it's quite a premature one, but it's basically them saying, okay, I see where this goes, which is that the Draven player just holds and just loads everything up in this battlefield, and they go to 8 the following turn. I think that's why they scoop. They just say there's nothing they have that can stop. It does seem a bit premature, though. Was Draven always winning this? Yes. But I'm surprised that there was a scoop there, unless there's something I'm missing. I don't think there was, though. 2-2. Yeah. Was it maybe time limit? Did they maybe run out of time? Looks like it might have been a time situation. I have no idea what that does. It's something to do with the tokens, I think. The Sand Soldier, yeah, it's Azir. So Fiora versus Azir. This is the buff one, and this is like you can spend 1 to... Is this the one that's like you pay 1 to return something to your hand? I should just search Spiritforged as the default. Type battlefield. When you conquer, you may pay 1 to ready your legend. Pay 1 energy. All right. Okay. So what's Azir doing? Let's remind ourselves of Azir. We've seen Fiora, so we'll focus on talking to you about how all the Azir cards work. So the legend, your Sand Soldiers have Weapon Master. So a Sand Soldier is a 2 might token. And you can also, with the leader, pay 1. I'm going to mute my mic while this is going. So yeah, the Azir, you can also pay 1 and play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token to your base if you've used an equipment. If you've played an equipment. So basically, if you've played an equipment, you can pay 1 to spawn a 2 might guy. So it's kind of similar to Victor, but basically, it's like Victor, but better if you play an equipment each turn, which is interesting. So this card is like a 2 cost. Let's literally look at Spiritforged cards that are just yellow and green. I haven't actually played against much Azir. This card is like spawning a token, I think. Is it Emperor's Divide? I don't think it was. No, it's Desert's Call. Play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token. So pay 2 to play 1. Same card again, so it's another Sand Soldier unit token. So, but this time it was the repeat effect was used. So they've played 2 of the same card the first time. They got 1 Sand Soldier unit, and then the second time they used the repeat effect, so they paid 4 total. That's how they've got 3 recruits. They haven't used their leader at all yet. On the other side, Fiora has a Pit Rookie with a buff. They have 2 Warmogs. This is a gear which I believe when conquer buff me. It might be when you conquer buff. So they also use the Monastery to draw a card here. So it's 1-1. Score on the door, but the Pit Rookie taking out the Sand Soldier is good. But basically, like the part of the value of playing lots of like small units is you should be able to draw you should be able to like score a lot of points. You don't really mind if your guys get taken out. But it's certainly a good start for Fiora. This is a 6 cost guy. I have no clue what it does. I'm looking it up. I've never seen this card in my life. Huh? It's Azir Ascendant. Was it the Chosen Champ? It was. 1 power, 6 might. Choose a unit you control. You have to pay a power to do this action. So this would be 2 power. It's an action. Choose a unit you control. Move me to its location and it to my original location. So it's like a Tide Turner effect on an action. If it's equipped, you may attach one of its equipment to me, use once per turn. So basically, this is like a tide turner that you can pay a green power for to activate at any time. Well, at action speed, not reaction speed. But it got absolutely murked by challenge. Really, the pit rookie took it out? My goodness. That seems unfortunate. How did the pit rookie take it out? How many buffs does this brother have? Oh my days. Buffering. Bro, how many buffs can one pit rookie have? It took out a 6 might guy with challenge. That's a bit wild, bro. Yeah, so Warmog's armor, when I conquer, buff me. +1, +1, +1. Maybe one of these is a +2. 6. And I had a buff. I guess. First mate. Insane card. But the Facebreaker stuns it. This is so good for me. I'm just learning, bro. I'm treating it like... If I was watching this, I wouldn't have to like think, okay, what does that card do exactly? But because it's not like kind of casting, I'm not really. I'm like low-key casting. Stun a friendly unit and an enemy unit at the same battlefield. Yeah. For 2. And it's also a hidden card. Buffering. Bro, why the buffering? First mate takes it out. Death Grip was played before. Kill a friendly unit to give plus might equal to its might to another friendly unit this turn. Draw 1. 2 cost. Pretty damn good. So Azir's popping off. A gear was played, so you can pay 1 to spawn a Sand Soldier token. And they have Weapon Master. So when you play them, you can equip a gear to them. And this is going to go in and gun down the first mate, scoring a point. So it's 4 all is the scores on doors. Another Sand Soldier unit token, just for good measure. And then the Sand Soldier is going to conquer the monastery. So it's 5-4 in Azir's favour. So a slight lead. Not at that 6 point mark yet, though. 6 points is where things start to get scary. So Asin's like in a pretty fine spot. Being down like 4-5 is kind of like... Even though it looks like he's behind, he's kind of secretly ahead here. Because if he can conquer both this turn, he could win next turn, and Snail would still be a turn away. So this is like a big moment in terms of the story of the game. Facebreaker stuns it, which means nothing dies, and it goes back, because that was a lost combat. Set comes through. Yellow power is paid, so Fiora readies it because it's mighty. Then it's going to take out this stunned token. The buff's going to be spent off set to draw, and then set buffs when you conquer. And it's back on over to Snail. Now Snail is definitely in the lead now because they go to 6. They can't win this turn. But the important thing for them is the Fiora player certainly can't win next turn. So now it's just for Snail. You basically decide how you win. Do you like knock set off this turn and just hold 1 battlefield? Or do you try and knock set off, or do you just like go back to your base? You're at 6 and prepare for like a big onslaught play next turn. So this is a signature spell for Azir. It's like a big finisher type card where you can spawn a bunch of guys. I don't think that's what the exact text on the card is though. I think there's a little bit more to it than spawn a bunch of guys. So it's Arise, play 2 might Sand Soldier unit token for each equipment you control. It's a lot of guys, and they all have Weapon Master. They've got like a +1 equipment to it. Equipped to it. It looks like it's Doran's shield, which gives them tank. which isn't super relevant in this moment. Just a 1 might equipment, which gives +1. So it's now 7 points to 5 as the Sand Soldiers come out on top. Now bear in mind the battlefield to the left has already been scored this turn. So basically what Snail is doing here is they've put 1 Sand Soldier in as a low commitment way of ensuring that the Fiora player has a bit more to think about. By putting this Sand Soldier unit in, what this means, bear in mind, if you hold, you win. So this Sand Soldier token is basically saying to the Fiora player, okay, you have to take out my Sand Soldier to the right while also still dealing with like the one to the left that I've invested in. But interestingly, they've also left 1 Sand Soldier at home, which could have gone into a different battlefield to defend things. So basically the Azir player is like playing in a very flexible way where they're not overcommitting to anything, but they're still making their opponent have some answers. But they use the Lucian with Weapon Master, equip another thing, Fiora makes it ready, and they give it punch first as well. So the hidden card, what does that one do? Desert's cool. No. Emperor's Divide. Move any number of friendly units at a battlefield to their base. It's like a flash. So Azir takes it. Sorry guys, it's on ×2 speed and I'm reading the cards as we go. So let's recap exactly what happened. So basically, because of the Azir player's flexibility, they had a hidden card which moved any number of friendly units at a battlefield to their base. It's like a flash that they hid. It's really, really cool. So they hid a flash basically. They note how they had 1 over here and then 1 still at the base, like they didn't overcommit to anything. And then the Lucian came through. They cleared with Fiora because they had to take the one to the right. Then the Lucian comes over to the right, but they retreat. And basically the reason this is a scoop is they've just got enough at base to clear both and they're tapped out. They force like the Fiora and the punch first, like on their turn, which means they don't have the punch first for their own turn. So this is really well played by the Azir player. And it's basically just a sign of like, when you've got that 6th point, you can start making your opponent commit to things and you can sort of just... I'm not quite sure the right expression, but basically like when you're in the lead, you can wait for your opponent to commit and just, you know, place things where you want. Basically, your opponent asks the questions and you just do the answers. You want to be the person answering, not asking the question a lot of the time in the late games. Like if you can just see what your opponent's doing, you can commit your resources perfectly, right? Like how many points should go to this battlefield? How many points should go to this battlefield? So having that like advantage in the late game was so key for the Azir player, and they utilized that little bit of an advantage really, really well. They made their opponent make commitments to answer them, and then they couldn't quite like play with as much tempo and freedom as they would like as a result. So very, very well played by the Azir player there. I like what I saw. But Azir did go first in that one, so game 2 is going to be definitely a little bit different with the Fiora player finding the 2-drop Pit Rookie, which has now been banished, but there's a couple of gear at the base. 2 Sand Soldiers already. Pay 1 to spawn a 2-might guy is a pretty absurd leader. I mean, you look at Victor and say it's pretty good. Okay, Victor, you can just do it unconditionally. But this one, if you're playing a gear, it is better, right? You're probably not going to be able to use it every turn though, but still. Lucian comes through. Yellow power paid with Fiora to make it ready. This is the combo we're seeing very often with the Fiora players. Now Lucian, if it conquers a battlefield, can ready and often just going to see it return to base afterwards. That's not exactly what happens on this occasion though, because the face breaker came through from Azir, which stuns one of your cards and an opponent's card, which basically meant nothing dealt any damage. So the way that resolves is the attacker basically just like retreats back to the base. We see the Azir player absolutely slam jamming cards left, right, center, spawning some more guys, mate. They have Weapon Master. Now, again, note how they are managing the battlefields. What they are doing, they are using these tokens as a way of trying to score points and commit as little as possible. So this guy is being sacrificed, saying, okay, you can kill my one guy, but the rest of my guys are just going to kill at the base. And this is also why Lucian's good, because Lucian, it gets a kill and it just moves back to base. You'd rather move back to base rather than holding. Again, the big advantage of holding in Riftbound is to deny your opponent scoring a point. You still score the same amount of points whether you conquer it or hold it, right? So holding is kind of more risky in a lot of the time. Kind of like mastering when to hold and moreover when to not hold, I think is a very important skill in Riftbound. And both these players are doing a really good job of it. Now, another interesting decision in this case is the Fiora player decides, well, now is the time to hold. They want to stop Snail scoring a point. That's what this is saying. They could have moved their Lucian back to the base and just let the Sand Soldier token continue to rack up easy points. But the Fiora player, despite being the player going first, feels like, okay, look, I'm down on points here. I need to make a stand and stop Snail continuing to rack up points. So they're also committing a power to hide a card. Snail with a 4-2 lead, despite being the player going second, is quite impressive. Very impressive. So as you can see, like even though I'm not that good with the card names, which is what I'm trying to work on right now, hopefully you guys can see from that bit of analysis that I do have a lot of thoughts on the flow of Riftbound, and I think it's like a very dynamic game that's quite fascinating to watch when you understand how the points scoring system is like extremely easy to overlook from a gameplay point of view, but the point scoring system is actually driving all of the decisions in the background. We see Hidden Blade, the hidden card, of course. 2 cards drawn, though, for the Azir player, which is not bad. I think how much I'm not sure on the points on each. It's quite hard to work out. We'll just let them do the hard work in that regard. There's this 6 might guy at the base, which we saw murked before. It says here, you can pay a green power and it's like a tide turner effect. That's really awesome. So it's an action speed, so you can do it during a showdown. Just pay a yellow power and basically swap it with something else. It's like a tide turner. You can just do it at any moment, but it's a 6 might guy. So 1 Sand Soldier token. No, everything taken out. So Snail did not score that point. Now, remember, that was Asin's objective. By going for the hold, right? The hold is not about scoring a point for themselves. It's about denying the point for Snail. So this was an extremely successful hold by Asin. Look, they didn't actually hold it. They didn't score a point for it. But they could now just potentially conquer with, for example, Fiora, right? And then they still score that point that they would have scored from holding. The key thing is that Snail did not score that additional point. So, having said that, I don't think you can be too happy if you're the Fiora player, because the Azir player's still got more units than you do, and they're ahead, and they're threatening to hold. So Fiora's going to come in and contest. Hidden Blade! Look at the power of the hidden cards. So much tempo. Both players trying to utilize it. But I've got to say, the Azir player just seems a cut above here. I think it's a very impressive performance. We see a riposte, which is going to counter the spell, though. And Fiora is now big and chunky. So the riposte is like a counter. So actually that Hidden Blade did not go through. So Fiora still in this one. Trading 3 to 4 with a Fiora in the base. But look, this Sunken Temple is free for the take. And we see Salvage, which is destroy a gear, draw a card, paying a yellow power cost. Destroying one of Fiora's things. But look at that. Look how hard Asin worked to deny the points from Snail in the previous turn. And then the following turn, because they're going wide, they can just move in a Sand Soldier. I've got to say, I like the look of the Azir deck a lot. I like going wide in this game. We see more Sand Soldier tokens being spawned with the repeat effect there, paying 4 to get it. And look, the Weapon Master, it's also got a buff somehow. Nobody knows how, but it has apparently. That's a lot of guys. How did they get the buff, chat? Possibly one of the equipment. Or is it a recruit maybe? I guess it's a recruit. And look, a card's hit him. And that's the game, just like that. Azir, this was them going second. This was a clean 2-0. This guy is cold. This guy is cold, bro. Snail. He's crazy with it. That was impressive. And look, they have a recap of the game. That's so interesting. Chinese production quality is kind of crazy. I mean, it is actually insane. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Biggest W of the stream so far was this Azir play. That was very, very nice. Kaiser versus Aurelia. So Kaiser is pretty similar to what it was last set. Aurelia is basically utilizing the very, very strong purple package, and usually it's playing a very heavy spell count. There's a lot of really good purple spells. There's a lot of really good green spells. You can very quickly, in Riftbound Set 2, now that basically the card pool's doubled, you can play twice as many spells in theory, you can very, very quickly get a deck which has almost no units. And the Aurelia deck is the best at making use of a deck in this style. Arguably, you could say Victor is, but Aurelia is very, very good because you can play so many spells and just be buffing up or boosting up your Aurelia. When you target one of your cards, your Aurelia Legend, you can pay a power to ready it. So basically what this deck tends to do is it just tends to have one big guy. Well, actually, it tends to have one big girl. And then what it does is you have an equipment which has ganking, and you just sort of chill at the base, and then your Aurelia just like storms through and is annoying. So Aurelia's like good against decks which need to try and hold. We see the Plundering Poro, which is when you conquer, gain a gold gear. And the other one is when you move, get a gold gear. So we're going to see some gold gear in the mixer. The Draven in hand for Aurelia is not a card you would want this early on, I can say safely. I do think it's a very interesting card. It can basically score you a point, but it can also score your opponent a point. So it's really like a card that you want to be playing to close out the game. But this 4-cost card is absurd. Whenever you move it, draw a card. It's mind-blowingly good. It is a green card. So we see the first point scored. The decision here is, do you reinforce the base or not? The decision is no. I think it's called like Stellarcorn Herder. Whenever it moves, draw a card. But immediately Kaiser's in a good position here because the Aurelia player is tapped out and the Plundering Poro can just make a very easy trade there. And now there is a 2-drop being taken out for Aurelia, and Kaiser gets to keep their 2-drop. And the Plundering Poro should spawn a gold gear token. It looks like they might have forgotten to do so. I think the trigger's probably been missed at this point, is how it would be done. Pouty Poro's played, card hidden. Probably was the Wages of Pain, I believe it's called. We saw it in the Kaiser player's hand, but Kaiser forgot the gold gear here. Personally, I don't think that should be missable the way cards are in, but whatever. Maybe you could choose to miss it. I don't know. The thing is, right? The thing is, I have a bit of an issue with the miss trigger policy because if you know that your opponent plays the Pickpocket, which is a blue 3-cost, Kaiser might be playing it. When you play it, you can destroy an opponent's gear that costs 1 or less, so 1 or 0, or a token, and you can spawn a gold gear token if you do that. So if you know, let's say, that your opponent has that in hand, well, you wouldn't actually want to spawn the gold gear with the Plundering Poro, right? And you could say, oh, I just forgot it's a miss trigger. But that's why, like, miss triggers shouldn't be missable. There should just be mandatory triggers. Let me check the wording of the Poro, because maybe the wording of the card doesn't support my point whatsoever. I would imagine it would, though. I would imagine it reads exactly, yes, look, when I conquer, play a gold gear token exhausted. Now, in most of the card games I play, this would be what's considered a mandatory trigger, which is like both players are responsible for making sure that happens, and also the judges at the table would be making sure it happens. In Riftbound, you can technically miss this trigger, but it would only be cheating if you miss this trigger intentionally. But how can you prove that? That's the problem. Like, how can you prove that I missed it intentionally? You can't. So how can you call it cheating if you can't prove it? So there's like a problem there, right? The game's rules and lack of mandatory triggers is going to lead to situations which rewards players that are playing dishonestly. And I just don't think that the game should be written in a way where playing dishonestly could ever be rewarded, right? So just make it a mandatory trigger, and then it's the responsibility of this player, and the judges to make sure that the gold gear comes through. Because if this player's got a pickpocket in hand, which I'm aware isn't possible, but just to give you an example, right? Pickpocket, they know it's in hand. Oh, I missed the trigger. Whoopsie daisy, I forgot. Did you know? So I personally am a big believer that mandatory triggers belong in Riftbound. Your opponent can force you to make the gear. Right, that's true. But still. But then they can force you to make the gear. But what if they don't want to? Then it rewards them being dishonest, right? Ugh, I don't like it. It would just be better, in my opinion, if things were mandatory. Yeah, it's the Wages of Pain, I think this card's called. This creates a gold gear and deals 3 damage. Everyone's abusing hidden cards. Is it called Wages of Pain? I think it is. Yeah, Wages of Pain. Deal 3 to a unit of battlefield, play gold gear, token exhausted. Not that brilliant if you pay the cost, but if you hide it, it's very efficient. Very, very efficient. This card, you would imagine, though, is going to be surviving this. So, yeah, Defiant Dance comes through, +2 to your own card, -2 to your opponent's. Not sure I love the Wages of Pain in this position, particularly because this was kind of like always going to happen. So they paid a power to hide it to get a gold gear back. Maybe they've got some more tricks up their sleeve, though, which makes the Wages of Pain play more reasonable here. Because as it stands, it doesn't look like a particularly good decision. It's a bit of a weird card to hide. It's efficient, but like, you don't really know what you're going to be hitting with it necessarily when you hide it. I mean, in this case, I suppose you did. But is that Void Seeker? Yeah, Void Seeker, so another 4 damage. So, yeah, okay, maybe it's now working out. Void Seeker and Wages of Pain dealing a total of 7 to this. But I mean, you would imagine that the Aurelia player is going to have some answers, but I suppose they're always going to have answers. It's about getting the answers out of them, you could argue. They actually just let it die, which seems very wrong. On guard, you would have to imagine. We see a double gear. But yeah, this seems like there was an opportunity maybe to take the on guard. Let's think about it. So the Stellarcon Herder was at 3, +2, 5, and the Poro was at 0. On guard would put it to 7 only, to be fair. On guard would only put it to 7, so it would still die. So she would need on guard and something else. And I suppose that wasn't there. Maybe comes back to the mulligan. If I saw correctly, no mulligan was taken and a Draven was left in hand. This is where like you see the downside of having that Draven in hand. I'm not sure if they did keep it in the mulligan or if they got the Draven, unfortunately, after the mulligan. But yeah, the Wages of Pain play from the Kaiser player really ended up working out here. And being able to shut down 2 of Aurelia's units this early can't be a bad thing because they've already got like a big advantage. So Kaiser's basically just the aggressor here. The big Aurelia that's at base does now come down, but like the Kaiser player is just scoring big points while this is happening. So the Kaiser players found tempo at the right moment in this game where now Aurelia is really, really under the cosh. Aurelia wants quite a lot of time to like build up, but Kaiser's doing the right thing, which is playing extremely aggressively. And the Wages of Pain, I said I wasn't too convinced by it. Look, it worked out, didn't it, with the Void Seeker? It really, really did work out very well for them. So fair play to them. The thing is even if it didn't work out in that situation, you're still getting answers from the Aurelia player, right? Like you kind of, against a deck like this, you kind of just need to like get them out of resources. But look at that, Ride the Wind from Aurelia coming through. Very, very strong play. So Aurelia came down, then Ride the Wind, enabling this Aurelia to really start popping off. The Aurelia Legend ability was used as well, and this is basically the play pattern of what Aurelia likes to do. It likes to get this big Aurelia down, and score 2 points with it each turn. It's pretty much the whole play pattern of the deck. So the Aurelia Legend is when you target one of your cards, you can pay a power to ready it. And when you conquer, you can ready me. We see Kaiser with Hextech Ray. Is it going to be onto Aurelia? It will be, which it does have Deflect. And it's at Void Gate, so it's 4 damage. Bellows Breath can deal 1 damage to 3 units, so it's going to deal 2 to Aurelia. I don't think you can do it 3 times, right? Okay, but you could repeat it. So basically they're paying so much power cost. Look at the power difference here, the energy difference. Aurelia actually taken out, but the Deflect, really, really good from Aurelia. And Kaiser's just looking to just be the aggressor here. They're just looking to win this game quickly. Like a Kaiser here can't accelerate, but the Poro is holding. They forgot the gold gear again, guys. The gold gear would have been so significant here from the plundering Poro. So again, like the Aurelia player, you could argue, is benefiting here by not informing their opponent of the trigger. Which, like, yeah, the Aurelia player is not supposed to inform them of the trigger, but I just think, like, I would like to see the game supported. So Draven comes through. This card is when I win a combat, score a point, but if I'm killed during combat, your opponent gains a point. So it's very high risk. But it could actually work out in this particular position. We'll have to see. It's very, very fascinating, no doubt about it. Putting Draven in immediately is going to be risky because they're not going to have much to defend the Draven. But I guess they just risk losing a point. Draven scores 2 points. You score a point for the Draven. You score a point for conquering. And Draven is now potentially going to be taken out. But Kaiser doesn't want anything to do with Draven. This Draven is popping off. Kaiser is going to conquer. So you can draw a card, of course. 5-4. It's going to be card sharp, where you spawn a gold gear token. Your opponent can spawn a gold gear token. If your opponent scores a gold gear token, you spawn another. So basically you either get 1 gold gear and your opponent gets none, or your opponent gets none and you get 1. It's a nice card. It's a weird card. It's not a card you probably want that many copies of if you do play it, but it is good. My gut feeling is it's probably not good enough in most decks because the card pool's so good. Like if this card was in set 1, obviously gold gear didn't exist then, but if this card was in set 1, I think it would see a ton of play. And I think it will see like a little bit, but as lists get more optimized, it's the kind of card which maybe you end up cutting, I would imagine. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not true. Maybe there's some decks that can make more use of it in particular. Tide Turner. I love Tide Turner. Outstanding card. Here comes Draven. The Tide Turner means that Draven is ready at the base. Big, big combat here because this would be a 7 points for Roxy. But if Draven is killed in combat, it's going to be the 6th point for AI. They have a Defiant Dance, an On Guard, and a Flash. So Flash could save the day for Draven, which is a bit of a safety net. Does have Deflect, so it's going to be a power cost paid to target Draven with that 3 damage. Draven right now 6 base power. And he's now got +4. So he's a 10 with 3 damage on him. He doesn't die. Right, okay, so he's super safe with the equipment. So the equipment that's attached to him is you can kill the gear instead of Draven. So actually Draven's like very low risk here. Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, Draven looking particularly good in Aurelia, but Draven's done it. That is going to be Draven successfully conquering up to 7 points now. It's been the Draven show here for Aurelia. All the talk about the Draven deck. Well, how about Draven and Aurelia? That was an outstanding win. Draven out of nowhere. I do wonder if the Kaiser player missed the opportunity to kill Draven a turn sooner. When they accelerated, when they had Kaiser at the base and they conquered to the right, I don't know what they had in hand. But I think the Draven player was untapped. So it felt like to me what needed to happen was Kaiser needed to sort of go in and brute force and get rid of the Draven. But maybe the equipment that was attached was what put them off in the end. These are certainly going to be two of the more represented decks in the new format, you would imagine. All right, game 2. Again, let's not forget the Kaiser player missed so much gold with the plundering Poro, mate. They missed so much. Are they going to remember this time? It's tough to watch, guys. It really is. So this plundering Poro here, the ability reads, I forget to add 1 gold gear when I conquer. Sad. Very, very sad situation, that. Tough to watch. Like, even as a viewer experience, I don't want to watch that. I just want to see the gold gear made, bro. I think missed triggers is a little bit dead. I think missed triggers in some instances is reasonable. But, like, you can miss some triggers, but I think a card that literally says, when I conquer, make a gold gear token, I don't really see how it could be of anybody's benefit that can be missed. Same with Arena's Greatest. Like, Alan missing the Arena's Greatest trigger is the most tragic thing I've ever witnessed in a card game. I was watching it live with my girlfriend and we both had our head in our hands. And not in a good way. It wasn't the kind of like good positive emotion. It was like, oh my goodness. How? How are we letting this happen? How is this how it's going down? Ravenborn Tome. They missed an Nev missed triggers as whack. I'm glad I'm not alone in thinking so. What does this one do? I've packed it about 100 flipping times. I've never played it in my life. I'm never particularly happy when I pack it either, if I'm honest. The next spell you play deals 1 bonus damage. Yeah, I don't know about that, Chief. Oh, okay, maybe I do know about that, Chief. Falling Star. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure it's particularly necessary, but the Poro is still saved by like Discipline. The question is, do you want to be getting rid of it at this stage? These Aurelia decks can often play without any cheaper units. So I'm not sure that the Poro is really that important. Ooh. Ooh. +2, but the Falling Star's dealing 4. Dreaming Tree, extra card drawn. And then it's Defiant Dance, which is giving +2 to the Poro, but the Falling Star's dealing 4. Rip. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Happens. It definitely happens a lot in Riftbound where you forget about like an additional number somewhere, right? Like the thing that they forgot about here was the additional damage from the Ravenborn Tome. So the Tome like looks like it was really good here, but it was kind of good because the Aurelia player forgot about it, right? I don't actually think it was good if things played out. Let's fast forward this one. This one's kind of cooked. Like Riftbound is so punishing where like if you like mess up in this manner this early in the game, it's just gonna snowball very, very hard from there. Still 5-1. See if Aurelia can maybe start mounting a comeback in the late game. 5-2. So the Kaiser player, they had the Tome down. They've now added Darius to the mix. And then we're seeing Charm move the Poro to the Poro. The Lonely Poro is a card, but it looks like Aurelia's passing. Their Aurelia's also been removed. Like the game's super over, so Aurelia got removed. They've got no units basically, and they've been totally and utterly suffocated. So we will be going to a game 3. 7-2. Let's just see this one close out. Oh no, there you go. Sorry. Let's watch the game 3. So yeah, big moment there. You can really see Riftbound is very punishing, where like those early combats, if you get something a little bit wrong, you can very much lose the game at any moment in Riftbound, which does make it a rewarding game to play, I think, as well, because every decision very much does matter. And you have to learn some tough lessons, don't you? We've all done it. I've certainly done it. Here we go. Each player starting with 4 runes is a little bit absurd. We've got the Siren down on the board. This is a gear, which you can pay 1 to move something to base. I think maybe it's to move from base to... I think it might only be moving it from base to... from battlefield to base. So it's kind of like a Yasuo effect that only costs 1, but it's a little bit more limited if I'm not mistaken. I think you can only move from battlefield to base, whereas Yasuo effect is like just move something. I am verifying that for you. Move a friendly unit at a battlefield to your base. I was right. Hooray! So you can't use it to move stuff from your base to a battlefield, which is important. So Vex comes down. She is making spells. Your opponent's spells cost more and your spells cost less when she's in a combat. Oh my goodness. The Kaiser player found the gold gear, guys. Hooray. 3rd time's the charm. We see the Ferocious Forerunner. When it's killed, 2 3 might tokens are played at your base. So Kaiser's ahead 2-1. But I would say Aurelia's in a pretty good spot here. Aurelia was the player going first. Remember, each player started with 4 runes, which has really shaken this up. This is actually only the Kaiser player's 2nd turn here, despite them being at 6 runes. So it's still very, very early days. Roxy with the opportunity to go, of course, ahead 3 points to 2 at this stage. And that Vex is, when it's in a combat, your spells cost 1 power and 1 energy less, and your opponent's cost 1 power and 1 energy more, which is a lot. Let me double check that's the case, because that is a lot. I mean, purple cards, guys, are very good. Yep. When I'm in combat, friendly spells cost 1 power and 1 energy less, and enemy spells cost 1 power and 1 energy more. That's a lot. Making your opponent pay extra power for spells is kind of wild. So Vex is going to move into battlefield, and she's going to take over, and then Siren, you're going to pay 1 to move her back. So this is like Aurelia's like low commitment way of scoring points. It's movement, and readying characters and moving them away. Like basically a lot of decks in this format, you have to find a way. You have to be like extremely good and just beefy and just hold. But honestly, in this format, what most decks are looking to do is they're looking to find ways to win non-committal points, where you can chip away at the point scoring system while like developing a big base. Because yeah, trying to go like toe to toe with decks like Draven in like raw power level is probably a little bit unlikely. But Kaiser's not going to draw a ton of cards with Progress Day. And Aurelia is very much like in the play pattern of just get a big guy at base, swoop in through the battlefields, GG. And the Siren is sort of helping you achieve that in the earlier game as well. Just moving things around, moving them back to base. That's why I also like the Lucian card, the one that when you conquer it readies, you can just move it back. It's why I like the Sand Soldier token deck, because they were like moving the Sand Soldier tokens in and just letting them die. It's like, okay. So Vex versus Ferocious Forerunner. Now Vex is making everything cost 1 less. So Discipline for 1. And it's also going to be making Kaiser's spells cost 1 more and a power more. So suddenly this Vex is absolutely cooking Kaiser. But the Ferocious Forerunner, you get 2 bots down in the base, which have 3 might each. So the bot dying is not the end of the world whatsoever for Kaiser, but still, you see the power of the Vex there, absolutely, well and truly, undeniably. Going to see a gold gear. For Charm, another bot down. 1 power paid on Charm, of course. It's going to be a Lonely Porer at base. And then the Siren's going to move that Vex back to safety. So the Aurelia player just chipping away at those point totals. They're on an even number. or it's an odd number for Kaiser, and that's quite important because if Roxy scores 2 more points, they're going to be 2 more points away from victory, right? Whereas AI being on an uneven number and behind, he's still 3 turns away from winning, right? If he scores max points this turn, he's at 5. If he scores max points the following turn, he's only at 7. If Roxy scores 2 points the next 2 turns, she wins the game. So Roxy's in a very, very good position at this stage. And the Kaiser player here trying to deal with some of Aurelia's stats. Vex taken out by Falling Star. Power cost having to be paid. Kaiser, of course, doing the other one, another Ferocious Forerunner. And suddenly Kaiser's back in the ascendancy here in a way. But Aurelia can still just score a very, very easy point off to the left, which is really good for them. Like, look how hard Kaiser's fighting to score a point here. Aurelia, though, this battlefield to the left is open and free. The charm was really nice from Aurelia, I think, in the last turn. Because otherwise, this point to the left, I think Kaiser might have been able to score an additional point that turn. But Kaiser gets himself onto an even number. Again, it's really important when you're playing Riftbound to be thinking about the points at all times. It really does guide all of your decisions. It guides how greedy you can be. How many resources do you need? How much power can you recycle? When is it too soon to recycle power? Aurelia, 4 for the Chosen Champion. In fact, 5. We're also going to see, I think it's called the Guardian, which is basically +1. And when Aurelia dies, you recall the Aurelia and kill the gear instead. This Aurelia has Deflect, and it also has the ability, whenever I'm targeted, give me plus, or whenever I'm ready, give me +1 might. So it's very, very strong with the Aurelia Champion. It's very, very strong with the gear, and of course all of the green combat tricks like Discipline, On Guard in particular. But Fight or Flight and Flash, the only 2 cards available here for Aurelia. It's going to be Fight or Flight onto Ferocious Forerunner. 2 runes available for Kaiser. Two runes available for Kaiser. Fight or Flight is a action speed. It's going to be the... It's like the gear equip card. It's doing something with gear. Let me remind myself. It's a new card. It's Angle Shot. Choose a unit and equipment with the same controller. Attach that equipment to that unit or detach that equipment from that unit. So I guess they're going to detach the equipment from Aurelia. You draw 1, but they're also going to have to pay the power cost for Aurelia. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. The Angle Shot will detach. Yep. You have to pay the power cost. But now if Aurelia dies, she will actually die. The question is she even going to die? Because the Ferocious Forerunner got hit by Fight or Flight. I don't think she's going to die, guys, if I'm honest. But I think the Kaiser player might be getting lucky here because the card in hand for the Aurelia player is a Flash. Any kind of like On Guard, Discipline, Aurelia would be very, very fine. I think as it happens, though, it's possible that the Kaiser player's found a line to win the game here, I think. And in fact, Aurelia player says, you know what? Fair enough, you got me. And Flash, the last card that was in hand, by the way, it's going to come down. Now, this is also a reason what you're seeing here for the lack of cards in hand is another reason that a lot of the Aurelia decks don't really play many 2-drops. You just play more spells, more of the purple package like stack decks and disciplines and I suppose defies and lots of other cycle cards, stack decks, maybe seals. I'm not sure if Aurelia's playing the purple seals, but I would imagine you're supposed to still. But very, very good turn from AI in the end. And they're now 6 ahead. We talked about the even and uneven numbers. Or look at that, an odd number now for Roxy. 3 away, but AI is a turn away from being able to win. A double hold. Next turn would do it. Singularity! That Aurelia is the target, but does have the gear equipped to it. So, but you just target Aurelia twice. You just target Aurelia twice. And that deals with it. The singularity onto a single target. Can you even do that? Huh? Huh? Bro, can you even do that? Can you really target the same card with singularity? I guess. I guess it just says target something twice. Deal 6 to each of up to 2 units. Huh? Deal 6 to each of up to 2 units. Well, they deal 6 to 1 unit. Deal 6 each of up to 2 units. But they deal 6 each to 1 unit. Twice. I don't think that should work. Judge! Judge! I don't think that should work, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. That seems a little bit wrong. Interesting. There's judges at the table, so I guess it does work that way. And yeah, Kaiser wins it. Doesn't seem right. Yeah. I'm not convinced either. Like, I think you could deal 6 to 1 unit, right? But I don't think you should be able to deal 6 to the same unit twice. Unless they targeted their own card and let's read the equipment here. The equipment might be what we're missing. Two energy, Guardian Angel. If I would die, kill Guardian Angel instead. So that should still be working. So singularity comes through. No, it wasn't a robot. Falling star afterwards. Okay, there's a falling star. Good catch. Thanks, mate. We are watching it in ×2 speed after all, and I guess that's why that might not always be the best idea. Well, I'm glad we've got that cleared up. Thanks. So yeah. All right, let's go on to another game. I am going to take a real quick be right back and just use the loo. Get a drink. All right, we have Draven versus Lucian. Quite interested to see, honestly, Draven in action. And I'm also very interested to see Lucian in action. I think Lucian's got some serious potential. My assessment of Lucian is chosen champion, very, very good. Legend, mediocre. Color combination, extremely fascinating. And even though the legend ability is extremely mediocre, in a aggressive deck, it might just be okay enough. I think you don't play the Lucian deck to play the Lucian legend. You play the Lucian deck to play the color pairing in an aggressive shell. That's really what you look to do with Lucian. You don't play Lucian because the legend is outstanding. You play Lucian because you think that orange and red together in an aggressive shell can work. And it absolutely can, particularly because the chosen champion's outstanding. Hey Mac, hope you're good. Cheers to you. So yeah, the Lucian chosen champion is the one we've seen a lot already. When you go in second, you can play it on your first turn. And you can even like use some battlefields so you could play it on your first turn, right? When you go first. I think it's like extremely, extremely interesting. So another big thing that you have is for your Lucian come down, potentially with a Lucian deck is punch first. 1 energy, 2 power, plus 5 might. Insanely good card. Obviously when you're playing Lucian, you're going to have gear, equipment. I need to get the names down. We see the purple guy, which I don't actually think is his official name, get some points. We see another purple guy and then an Noxus Hopeful. Again, a card I love. I'm a big, big fan of the old Hopeful. Overzealous fan. This is the one that when I defend, you may kill me. And then the other guy at the base is the treasure hunter when I move. Play gold gear token. So Lucian's down. We see Bone Shiver. This is like a 3 energy epic equipment, which is you can spend 1 orange energy and 1 orange power to attach this to a unit you control. So it's very expensive to get it attached. It is attached to Lucian. We saw him score a point and retreat. When I conquer channel 1 rune exhausted. So this is the combo you look to achieve with the Lucian deck. The Bone Shiver, it costs 3. It's expensive. It costs another to equip it as well. So very, very expensive to equip. But when I conquer channel 1 rune exhausted. So you immediately sort of get some of the cost back from the Bone Shiver. How do you equip it exactly? Is there a way to like equip it more cheaply? I'm looking at the resources spent here. Oh, they use their Lucian as well with the battlefield. So the battlefield, let's take a look at it. I almost need a few tabs of Piltover Archive open so I can go back to look at the cards from the same game. Let me do that right now. I have a few tabs open. One with battlefield. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm really excited to be watching the games. I've been playing a lot of Spiritforged. I'm really starting to get into my Riftbound addiction mode. I haven't really been in it for a little bit of a while, but I think the new set's fascinating. I'm so excited that I'm competing. So it's Forge of the Fluffed. While you control this battlefield, friendly legends here have attach an equipment you control to a unit you control. That's crazy. So usually the equipment, it costs 1 energy, 1 power, but instead Lucian moved in with it not equipped. Now they equip it, so now they've got the ramp from it. And here's the Ruin Runner, another card I'm absolutely fascinated about in this format. I think it's a very, very compelling reason to play orange in an aggressive shell. And it's this card cannot be targeted by enemy spells or abilities. With Punch First, you're looking at a 10 might guy. Also, red has access to the card that I revealed, the Gem Jammer, which can give one of your units ganking. It's a 2-drop. 2 drops is good in aggressive decks. And the ganking on a Ruin Runner sounds pretty outstanding. But we saw absolutely brilliant use of the battlefield here. You can really see the edge you can get when playing a battlefield which benefits your deck. That was a huge, huge swing of advantage. The Lucian never needs to be exerted. So it was a free thing to be able to do. Exert your leader, which costs you literally 0. And you get to attach an equipment which would usually cost you 1 power, 1 energy for free. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So we see another advantage or another thing the Lucian deck has going for it. And this Lucian, remember, it's attached with a gear that whenever you conquer, you channel 1 rune exhausted. And that battlefield could be utilized again at a later point. Because you just have to control that battlefield to get the effect. So Lucian is at 5 right now. We're going to see another equipment. This is a 4 energy equipment. So we've seen a 3 energy and equipment and a 4 energy equipment. They are spending serious resources on equipment. This is when I hold, score 1 point. So Trinity Force turning up the pressure, and the Ruin Runner's been attached with it. When I hold, score 1 point, and the other one is +2. So this Ruin Runner is +4 right now, and it's 5 might, so it's 9. But the overzealous fanboy, I don't think that's his name, Fight or Flight comes through. It can't be on the Ruin Runner. It cannot be targeted by enemy spells or abilities. You might want to Fight or Flight the Ruin Runner, but you can't. So it's going to be on the Draven, which is going to return him to safety. And then the overzealous fanboy, which again, I don't think is actually his name. Unit. I'm opening a few tabs here now. Yeah, the overzealous fan. I'm going to call him the overzealous fanboy. All right? He's a fanboy of Draven. But it can't be targeted. Oh my days, guys. The Ruin Runner's insane. You may move an attacking unit to its base. Well, the Ruin Runner can't be... Oh my days, guys. The Ruin Runner's crazy. And then we see the Lucian signature spell. Oh my goodness. Lucian is absolutely cooking the Draven player right now. This is absurd. So the Lucian signature spell is kind of comparable to Ride the Wind in many ways. That's pretty much the best comparison. It's Ride the Wind with a few more steps. And it's, of course, a signature spell. Move a friendly unit. You may attach an equipment with the same controller to it this turn. When I conquer, you may move me to my base. So it doesn't basically make the card ready. What it does is it moves something. You can attach an equipment to it. And if you win that combat, you can move it to base specifically. Which is kind of like readying it, right? So we see the Ruin Runner, which can't be targeted by spells or abilities, just be the top end. We saw the Lucian combine with the battlefield. We've seen all this pop-off synergy. Meanwhile, Kaiser's at 6 points with 2 Noxus Hopefuls, a Draven and a Darius at the base, 3 cards in hand, and 5 runes open. Like, all the talk from me has been about Lucian. Meanwhile, Kaiser has just been scoring cheap, efficient points. Just ticking away at that points tally. The Ruin Runner is not going to be able to take out Kaiser, who retreats to safety thanks to the effect of the Reaver's Row. So the Kaiser, well, not the Kaiser player, sorry, Draven player. Same, it's not even the same colours, is it? They have a Kaiser, it's a Draven player. I'm so used to Kaiser being the dominant deck, of course, but it is, of course, in fact, Draven. So many red cards on show, actually, which is interesting to think about. I mean, a lot of the time with purple decks, it's hard to fit in anything that's not purple. But red really showing you that it's just got value in raw stats. We're seeing the Lucian player hard commit to the battlefield Reaver's Row, getting down as many stats as they possibly can. They've got 2 Ruin Runners, which is 10 might. They've got a Lucian 13 and some gear, which I think total was 5. So I think they've got 18 points over at Reaver's Row, that kind of ballpark. Let's actually not forget, though, Lucian effect, legend, it gives +1, but only when attacking, I believe. I believe it's only when attacking. Or is it when defending? That's important to know, isn't it? That's important to know. I think it's when attacking. It is. So no benefit from Lucian here. This is what I'm saying about the legend. It's pretty mediocre. Imagine if the Lucian was also giving +3 might while defending here. That would help you out a lot. But what we've seen the Draven player do is utilize the point scoring system very, very effectively. They built up a big base. They've got to that 6 point mark and they said, look, you might have all these stats. You might score all these points. You might pop off. But I'm just going to play extremely energy efficient cards like the Noxus Hopeful. 2 energy, 4 might. And I'm just going to get to 6. I'm going to chip away and I'm going to prepare an onslaught. Kaiser's moved in here. We see the punch first committed. That is all of the runes available. This is a desperate play, but the hard bargain counters it. Hard bargain can counter the punch first. Even though punch first is a 2 power card, charm, not charm, defy cannot counter punch first, because charm can only counter cards which have 1 power or more. But punch first costing 2 power can be countered by the purple hard bargain. Unbelievable. So punch first countered in a purple Draven deck when a green charm, a green defy wouldn't be able to do it. And now we see the full commit from Draven looking to secure the 8th point. The hard bargain out of nowhere, mate. The hard bargain out of nowhere. Lucian probably not going to have enough. As much as they popped off the Draven player, who I believe might have went first in game number 1 here. Not sure, let us know in the chat. But what a pop-off. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please give it a like. Thanks to the channel sponsor, Card Market. We love you, Card Market. Biggest marketplace online for Europe. But you can see the potential of the Lucian deck there, I think. But you also just see how managing the points is so crucial in this game. Lucian very much just wanted to chip away, score a point at a battlefield, move away. But the Kaiser players are, all right, I can do that too. They utilize Reaver's Row to sort of mimic the effect of Lucian. A lot of the talk there was about how good the battlefield selection was for Lucian, but actually the Reaver's Row is what enabled that game plan for Kaiser, just to roleplay like a Lucian. I move in, I move out, I move in, I move out. I score some points, I move away. Also using the fanboy, or attempting to use the fanboy, is usually how Draven would do that. So Lucian had some nice answers. The Ruin Runner to shut down the fanboy, really just completely make it do nothing. But it wasn't enough. Draven just had too many points too quickly. But if that game went on for much longer, maybe, if it wasn't for the Reaver's Row, Lucian could have had a real shot. So I'm pretty impressed by the Lucian. I'm pretty impressed. But also, of course, we know that Draven's brilliant, right? And I think what's easy to get wrong with Draven is it's not necessarily that Draven itself is that good. I think the Chosen Champion is great, having like a big powerhouse that you can just play on your second turn every time, when also purple plus red just has such outstanding 2-drops. Pouty Poro, Traveling Merchant if you want it, the Fanboy, but look at that, just Draven on turn 1. That's absurd. And I think that's what they're looking to do with the battlefield here, both players, is they're actually using this battlefield to get their Chosen Champion down as soon as possible. So Confront is fascinating here. Cards into ready. And now we're seeing another Lucian, the double Lucian with Confront. And this is what the Lucian players are looking to do. Score points, move away. Score points, move away. And what the Draven players are looking to do with their battlefield is they're looking to get that extra rune. So they have 4 runes on turn 1. When they're going second, they just play the Draven immediately. It's just so consistent. It's just like these Chosen Champions, which you can just play on curve, are so valuable. That's why I love Teemo. I love just playing my Teemo on turn 2. Turn 1, oh, I have 2 energy, I didn't draw a 2-drop, I play Teemo. Because it also enables you to build your deck in a very different way. Like we're talking about how consistent the deck is, but what you've got to remember is that Riftbound decks are very tight. So if you've got a consistent 4-drop or 3-drop, suddenly you can build your deck with that in mind, and you can play way more tech cards and powerful cards like Sabotage, which you want to have in your deck, but you also need to make sure you have a curve. So Sabotage, interestingly in Riftbound, you're actually allowed to write things down. Personally, I'm of the opinion, here's a hot take, maybe I should make a hot takes video. I'm of the opinion that note-taking should be banned in Riftbound. Thoughts, chat? Let me tell you why. Disney Lockhart does not allow note-taking. I actually think it's great. When I'm playing this game, I've been thinking about it recently. I am so incentivized now to write down everything. And like with a purple deck, bro, the amount of knowledge that you can know about your own deck, about which cards are still left, which cards, like you can literally cycle through your whole deck in purple, right? So you could know like what's coming up next. And I really should if I'm playing Optimi, write all that down. Bro, do we really want that to be the meta? Where everybody's writing stuff down? It's hard enough to finish a game with Riftbound if you're not note-taking, right? I actually think it adds to the skill ceiling of the game having to remember things. So I'm personally of the opinion that note-taking should not be allowed. That's my hot take. I've got lots of hot takes. It's all fun and games. I'm not saying it's definitely the right way to do it, but it's just my opinion. It's just an interesting thought. But these Lucians, look at that. I score a point, I ready, I retreat. That's what they like to do. And they do it. 2 more points, please. And look, they're at an even number. They're 4 away. They did this twice more, they win the game. So they're applying pressure. How about third Lucian? Hopefully we don't see the 4th one. Otherwise we're going to have to call the judge. 3 is the max, of course. 1 is the chosen champion, 2 drawn. That ain't bad, is it? That ain't bad. To be honest, the third Lucian, I don't really know if you want 3, but I suppose against a Falling Star, you're going to have a against Falling Star, I suppose you're going to be quite happy there's a third available, right? But a really, really key moment in this game, which is really easy to overlook the importance of, was the confront into the second Lucian. Just because that was what enabled the Lucian player to gain that extra point in the early stage. It's really, really valuable for aggro decks to score like 1 additional point in the early stage, because then you threaten to win a turn sooner, which makes your opponent have to play a lot more awkwardly. If this confront Lucian hadn't come through, and like the Lucian player had instead just played like Lucian and a 2-drop, right? They would right now only be at 3 points. They would have an additional 2-drop on the board instead of the confront, right? But the confront is actually so much more valuable because they scored an additional point very, very cheaply. Now, okay, don't send both Lucians in, but a Lucian with a gear attached, it's like a 3 cost gear that's quite expensive. It has some kind of wacky effect, this one, I think. My hold effects are also conquer effects and vice versa. So I don't think that's doing much with Lucian. Basically, when you hold with Lucian, it would ready, which does kind of nothing, right? But it's just a +2 or +3 actually when attacking, right? Because of the Lucian effect. So this is a +3. Not sure what happened here exactly. Draven players drawn. Lucian returns to base. I missed a little bit of what happened there. My apologies. Five to 3, Tide Turner, Kaiser, and there you see, again, power of Tide Turner. Tide Turner, again, we were just talking about how good a card like the Confront is to score that early point. Well, Tide Turner's doing something very, very similar here. This Tide Turner just got an extremely cheap point available. This second battlefield was open and for the taking, but without some sort of movement mechanic or readying mechanic like a First Mate or a Tide Turner or a Lucian which readies. Rather the Confront, which allowed the Lucian to enter ready. Like, you're seeing a lot of cards in this format which are very good at securing points while committing the least resources possible. The Fanboy here is another example of that, because you're committing a 2-might guy, which really is like a fight or flight on a stick. It's an extremely strong card, just protecting that Kaiser a little bit. So it's allowing the Draven player to conquer with Kaiser, draw 2 cards, draw 1 card in this instance because it wasn't a combat. But the Fanboy here is like protecting Kaiser, like it's almost like hiding a fight or flight, right? It's essentially the same thing. But it's a unit that can score you points as well. It's very, very solid. And it's curve. You need curve in this game. That's really the way of evaluating this card. It's a fight or flight that you can play on turn 2, on turn 1 rather, to score points. It's like a proactive fight or flight, which is actually really, really good. Really good. You need curve in this game. You need to, and you want your cards which can be played on curve to score you cheap points. You don't need them to have stats necessarily, but utility is good. Fight or flight added to hand. Again, you're seeing the value that a lot of players are still putting on these set 1 cards. It's easy to underestimate when you're seeing cards like Fight or Flight, Tide Turner. Like, these cards have to be exceptional to justify an inclusion in this format where everything is so good. Set 2 has added a lot of power to the game. So the deck list is so tight. When you're seeing players actually include Tie Turner and score points like that we saw, and also like this, is it Confront card comes in ready. Do not underestimate the power that actually has to have to even be in the deck in the first place. I think it's very, very commendable for our players to be spotting the value of cards like this in Riftbound. I expect, I think people are significantly underestimating the strength of Chinese players. Chinese players played a lot of Gwent, and there was a lot of very good Chinese players at Gwent. There was a lot of very, very strong Chinese players. When Riftbound had come out in China, Riftbound had just come out, and everybody that was like still taking the game seriously, like in the West, was still playing Riftbound, right? When China was playing it also. So like Chinese players now have also been playing Riftbound for like even longer, in theory. Like they are gonna be very experienced and very ready to go. And people were like, yeah, well, China didn't find Annie. Yeah, but like, I mean, they would have found Annie if the game was out somewhere else first, you know, and they'd been playing. They would have found Annie. They would have found it. All their big tournaments were. I'm sure they're gonna find Annie eventually if they played longer. And yeah, the game was fresh, right? The game was new. But it's like also the world's just like a much more like worldwide now. When Origins was out in China, only really China was talking about it in the grand scheme of things, right? Whereas now, Spiritforged is out in China and everybody's talking Spiritforged because there's regionals happening in Europe and America now. So everybody's really engaged in it. And the Chinese players are also going to be able to interact with the worldwide community now, right? And it's not like the player base and the meta knowledge of Spiritforged is more of a worldwide thing now. But that's game. I kind of missed the conclusion. Let me rewind. So we've got Brian Hill Thunderstorm, which had already come through. 7 points. This might have been the world's worst cast by me. I've done the classic of watching a game and then actually forgetting to watch the game. So let's go back to watch after my little rant about whatever I was ranting about and work out what on earth actually happened in the game, which is what we're here for, right? So it's 4 points to 5 in Lucian's favour. The Tide Turner can be taken in by 1 Lucian, go up to 6. 6 is a good number, you go back to base. And you just build up your base as much as you can and try and win the following turn. So play passes on over to Kaiser, who goes up to 5 points. Which crucially is not 6. They're not able to win this turn. So the Lucian player is giving themselves a buffer where they can have... This is where you want to be as a Lucian player. You want to be at 6 points, you want everything at your base. That's all you need to do. That is the game plan. Thundersong's not great, to be honest, as a player in the previous, but I mean, it's got stats, I guess. It got them to 6. It might actually have been good. Stopped like a Hextech Rave. Don't know if Draven even play Hextech Rave. Certainly it plays Fight or Flight. And it would stop that. So maybe it's good. If they've got another, it could be particularly good. So Draven comes through. We know it conquers the one to the left. They go to 6. There's only 3 open for Kaiser, so I guess that's the issue. Draven's going to be maybe sticking around at 5 now because the card's hidden. So Draven's likely getting to 7 next turn. And there's still 3 open. And the Fanboy. They're at 6. So the Lucian player has a challenge available. They pay 2 for a gear, which can be equipped to be +1, and they pay a power on Brian here. And send 2 into the left, but the Fanboy can recall 1. Lucian will come in ready. So it looks like Brian here's getting recalled. 5. So the Lucian dies. Challenge Brian here on to Draven. Hidden card can be revealed, but it's not a combat. So if there's no reaction in hand, hard bargain comes through, which is a reaction, of course, stops it. But they can pay 2. They can pay 2, and then it doesn't go through. So now, if they reveal a card, the Draven goes to 7. If they reveal the hidden card, Draven goes to 7. Brian here is still only at 6, I believe. So it's going to be 6 to 7 if the card is flipped. Huh? Hydros. They didn't flip the card. Oh, I was a bit surprised something it ended there. So from my understanding, they got something wrong here as I'm watching it. Right? Draven gets +2 and readies itself and gets ready if you've played 2 cards this turn. So it would be at 7 because they played the hard bargain. They reveal whatever the hidden card is. I want to find out what the hidden card is. Then Draven would be at 7. This would be at 6, but it doesn't matter because even if it's at I guess if it's at 1, then Lucian would come through, but they wouldn't score a point. That seems like an incorrect scoop, right? I think they forgot about the hidden card, maybe, that it would buff Draven. Right? I feel like the hidden card was fight or flight. Let's see if we can find out what was hidden. So Draven comes in. What did they hide? No idea. We're watching it on ×4 less speed. We almost caught it there. Huh? Oh, it's because we didn't actually switch to slow speed. I think it's fight or flight. It's got to be right. I still don't understand the scoop. But yeah, never mind. I think it was just a miss scoop. I guess if they reveal fight or flight, they have to target Draven. Okay. Okay, it wasn't a miss scoop. Because you reveal fight or flight, then Draven would be the only target to move back. And then, okay, it would survive, but then the battlefield's free for Lucian. Aha! We got to the bottom of it. Fight or flight. A little bit awkward to hide at times, and this proves to be extremely true in this instance. It was more than a little bit awkward in this case. It was more than just a little bit awkward, wasn't it? Here we see the treasure hunter come through. Yeah, ride the wind. True. Ride the wind would have been gross there. Treasure hunter moves, gets treasure for Draven, who is going first. They have a fanboy and an Oxus hopeful, probably. Yeah. The positioning here from the Draven player is a little bit surprising. If maybe they have some sort of accelerate card available in hand, maybe like a Darius in hand. I suppose the battlefield to the left might be the one that you can't score here until turn 3, because that would also make a lot of sense. What is this battlefield? Is it this blue one? When you control this battlefield, what is it? Yeah, no, units. Players can't score here until their 3rd turn, as expected. So that's why you can't score here, which is why they're playing it in this somewhat strange way. This is a very strong battlefield against an aggro deck. This is exactly how you should play it. It's quite a good go first battlefield, right? Because basically what you do with this battlefield when you go first, you just move to the other battlefield and defend it. And this is really, really strong in a deck which can just put big raw stats down, like Draven can fight or flight. It's actually extremely good at stifling the pressure. Now, the fact that this combat was actually won by Lucian is a little bit absurd. So it's +4 from this. So Lucian is 7. I'm so lost. Sorry, guys. Guy moves in. Okay, so it's just 2 1s. Yeah. I mean, I said to you guys, didn't I? I was like a little bit surprised they didn't put 1 at the base. For me, like committing everything here is just losing a bit of an opportunity to get a 1-point guy off to the left. But yeah, they do that and it returns and then play first mate. Okay. So the first mate really counters the fanboy here very, very heavily. I guess what like I'm a bit surprised by, I guess, so does the cleave already come through? I'm actually so confused as to how this is happening. Right. Huh? Why is this not dying? Why is it getting moved back? No wonder I'm confused. I'm watching it like 4 times and I still don't understand what the heck just happened. Am I misunderstanding how this card works? Why is this not dying, guys? When I defend, you may kill me to move an attacking unit to its base. Right, so they just decide to kill it. Which proves to be a huge, huge error. Massive misplay. Because it gets giga punished by the first mate. What we're a bit surprised by here is that they don't just like I don't know, say, no, you can't kill this. When I defend, you may kill me. Yeah, you don't kill it. You just say, okay. And you let the Lucian try and win the fight. No? Maybe not. I think moreover though, like, my bigger issue is actually even playing this to the battlefield in the first place. If there's a question mark on like, I guess against the first mate, you can't do that. But I guess you could argue it's maybe harsh to think that first mate exists, right? Like, It's such a big punish, though. I don't like the positioning, particularly in general, from the Kaiser player here, and it gets completely punished. It's very high-level stuff, which is really good for Riftbound, the fact that we're having this like level of discussion. In other games, like what I'm saying about the player and their sequencing and their play is like that I'm saying they're bad. I actually just think it shows you the skill ceiling of Riftbound. This is like, no wonder I had to have a double take, like, wait, how did we get here? This is absolutely absurd that Lucian has managed to gain this much tempo. So just to recap what happened. The Kaiser player put their Noxus Hopeful and another 2-drop to defend. The Lucian player cooked them because of first mate. The 2-drop guy basically just got reset by the first mate and it died. And then with a repeat spell, the Lucian player was able to add even more pressure. And now, look at the score. Remember, Draven was going first. Ruin Runner's in the mix. But the first mate doesn't get the point to the right. Why is that? You might ask. Well, it's because it's that battlefield which you can't score here until the third turn. Your third turn. So that battlefield, extremely valuable here for the Draven player. Because first mate could have just captured there to the left, or to the right rather. But instead, it's got to wait for a rainy day. But now Draven's got a couple of battlefields, which both will be wanting to be protected and just trying to keep Lucian away. The longer the game goes on, the more in favour of Draven this one it should go. So for Draven, it's just about trying to slow down Lucian here. So you can achieve that by trying to hold, for example. And particularly if you try and hold both. But if you can just hold one, it means that your opponent didn't score that previous turn, right? That's the benefit from holding. So we see some damage triggers coming through here on to the Lucian. Power cost was paid and the gold gear was destroyed. So it's 2 points this turn for Draven, 3-2. But I think Lucian's going to be feeling good on an odd number. We see the gear. This one, like my Conquer effects. Basically, it's just +2 in this instance. It's not doing anything more than +2. But the Ruin Runner is an amazing card. Cannot be targeted by enemy spells or abilities. Gets the point at the Sunken Temple. Now, what Lucian's looking to do is, can they get a point off to the right as well? They draw off the Sunken Temple. Lucian comes through. They can't. That Noxus Hopeful hold. So it did its job. Remember, holding, really the big value in a hold is that it means that your opponent didn't score last turn. And now we find ourselves with the Draven player in the lead. The big thing to note here is that Lucian's at 3 and not at 4. They're on that odd number again. That point denial from Draven in this turn was extremely significant. So it's a very, very brave decision to go into both battlefields with the Noxus Hopeful and Draven in the previous turn. They split the battlefields, but it worked in their favour. Now, Darius is ready to party. 7 might, but it's just going to chill at the base, even though it was ready to go. The Ruin Runner is going to score a point, and Lucian is going to score a point for free as well. But look, 5-4. If Lucian was already at 6 points, the Darius player would have to be playing this quite differently and would have to be a little bit more aggressive and risk overcommitting. Whereas now, the Draven player knows, okay, if we just do this, I score 2 points, you score 2 points, back out, back in, which is what Lucian wants to do by design of the deck, Draven will win. So Draven is basically like using Lucian's biggest strength as its biggest weakness, which is that it's like kind of entirely predictable in how it wants to play. And this like decision to, or this inability for Lucian to kill the Noxus Hopeful in the previous turns was an extremely crucial moment in this game. It's certainly not over. Like, Lucian's got a really nice base, but again, if they were at 6 points, they would win from here. Whereas now, because they're not at 6 points already, Darius has a huge opportunity to take over this game. Thermo Beam. Not the best, I'm not going to lie. That's pretty whack. I don't think that's a good play at all. Paying 5 energy and 2 power to get rid of a gear at this moment in the game, I do not feel like is what you want to be doing, mate. I feel like the tempo has just very much swung in Lucian's favour with that moment. But we'll have to see if I'm right. Again, Lucian can't win this turn, but Darius can, or Draven rather, can win by either holding or just conquering a bit in the next turn as well. Hidden is probably a fight or flight, but maybe not because Ruin Runner can't be dealt with it. It's going to be the longsword attached. It's a quick draw. What is the hidden card? Again, Ruin Runner can't be targeted, so Switcheroo would be rubbish. It is fight or flight, and it's going to target the Draven. Darius, in fact, which means Darius is going to be able to come through on the next turn. Now, Lucian gets up to 6. They can get to 7 if they can finally get rid of this Noxus Hopeful. But this battlefield put in so much work for Draven. The battlefield denying that extra point from Lucian, and then that moment the Noxus Hopeful held. But really, honestly, the battlefield's been the star of the show here for Draven. It really, really has. It's made an unbelievable difference to this game. Another Ruin Runner with an attach. I still think Lucian might have it. I still think Lucian might win this game. They're going to try and win. They need to try and win the battlefield to the right with the lowest commitment possible. I would love to have seen them try to maybe win the battlefield without the Ruin Runner, and then just have like one battlefield with double Ruin Runner and like a hidden card or something, or like energy for punch firsts. But the Ruin Runners have ended up split, but maybe they're okay with that. I think it would have been great to see both Ruin Runners on the same side. Challenge though, more tempo, the Ruin Runner onto Draven. That might actually seal the deal. It's another tempo play, huge tempo play. I think that Lucian's got it. Yep, they go full commit into the right. Lucian's just trying to hold either here. Lucian's controlled the tempo of this game pretty nicely, and that challenge should seal the deal. Lucian into Draven. Lucian's a deck which has very much caught my eye in principle. Draven's going to come through. The Ruin Runner is too big for it, but unless you spend a power to give it +2, which they'll do. They win the combat, they draw a card. They're up to 7 points, I think. Yeah, they're up to 7 points. They're up to 7. It's 7-all. But all Lucian has to do is hold the battlefield to the right. It is 7-all. It says 6-7, it's 7-all. There we go. Here we go. Nah, look at that. Double Thermo Beam in hand, bro. Yeah, that just seems like a skill issue on the sideboard. I think putting in double Thermo Beam in this matchup is so lost. Like, that's the big decision which cost them this game. I even said it, right? Like, the turn they played the Thermo Beam, they lost so much tempo. Like, Thermo Beam is not a good card. It's, like, not a good card. I think it's a misreading of what Lucian's actually doing. Like, you look at Lucian, you're like, okay, it's using equipment. I have to use my really expensive spell to remove your gear. But the reality is what you actually need to do against this Lucian deck is you just need tempo. It's actually a tempo deck. He has Lethal on board with Ride the Wind. Crazy. You reckon? Let's see. Ride the Wind. Can you just pay the power on Draven like indefinitely? I mean, you could use 3 power, right? 3 red power. Can you use as many power as you want on Draven? Let's see, Draven. Ride the Wind. The Blood Rush, if that's what it's called. Another one. Oh my days. That's unbelievable, Jeff. The Thermo Beam might just have done it. Despite the clunky double Thermo Beam in hand, they might have just gotten away with it. Woohoo! What a tense game. This has been an awesome series. One of my favourite to watch so far. Probably my favourite, in fact. Damn. And it comes back again. Could they have ever got like the double Ruin Runner on the same side? It felt to me like they didn't quite get the splits bang on in the previous round. What would you say the misplay was? I mean, if we're saying about the Thermo Beam, I think the Thermo Beam did not offer much there. It got rid of you spent 5 energy on -3, right? But fortunately for them, wasn't quite bad enough. But yeah, 2 Thermo Beams in hand there, crazy. If Draven didn't have the card draw that it does, they would have been so cooked. That was a really fun one though. Thanks guys for being here. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. I played so much Riftbound the last like 48 hours. Is this the new Conservatory one? I'm so bad at knowing what it... I don't think that's the new one. Players can't score here, right? I think that was a set 1. Yeah. When you conquer here, recycle one of your runes. Been developing Lucian for weeks. Let's go. Yeah, Lucian's one of the ones that definitely caught my eye. I could go Ornn as well. Ornn's really awesome. I played against some Ornn already. The Ornn deck I played against just went really, really big on Ornn. Basically, like, yeah, Ornn's got the chosen champion for Ornn has deflect 2, and it gets +1 might for every gear you have. And there's a gear that you can attach to Ornn, which basically reads, I have this card's effects. So if you attach that gear to it, it suddenly has deflect 4 and gets +2. And obviously you can attach up to 3 of them at once. And basically Ornn turns huge. And the Ornn legend is similar to Kai'Sa, but it's for gear. I think Ornn is probably pretty good. I would imagine that Victor might be a bad matchup for it though, because of cards like Hidden Blade and stuff. Like, basically we see it. So we see Green Seal. So I think the Green Seal, you're probably also playing Poros. There's like a Poro Snack card, which is like a 1-cost gear. But I don't know. I mean, using a seal in a Ornn deck is interesting. You wouldn't expect to see a seal in a Kai'Sa deck, for example, right? If that's the comparison. But let's see. We see already the seal being used for the Clockwork Keeper draw. But I'm not really loving that turn 1 seal, because you are... Oh, wait, no, because the Ornn plays the seal for free. Okay. It's all making sense. So the seal's brilliant with Ornn because the Ornn paid for the seal. And then you get the Poro Snacks in, which is a 1-cost gear, which you can draw more cards. They got to use the seal to draw the card of the Clockwork Keeper. That's a green power card. So it's a really fascinating start already from the Ornn deck. I like what I see a lot. Blue Ornn has payoff, right? And the more gears you have, the bigger the Ornn is. Yeah. The thing I was confused by there was I missed the fact that the Ornn ability was paying for the seal. That's what makes it so good. I was a bit like, why would you do that? But no, it's actually outstanding. Blue Ezreal is the star of the Ornn deck. Interesting, we'll have to see. They've also got the Drop Border, which is a card I really like. Yeah, okay, this Ornn deck's spicy. This card is a 4-cost for Might, and it comes in ready if you have 2 or more gear. I tried it a little bit in Teemo. Wasn't quite good at... You had to go a little bit too out of your way. It was a card I've had to cut. But it's definitely a good card. And when you're already playing Seals and you're playing Poro Snacks and you're playing Ornn, which rewards you for loads of gear, I'm liking the build of the Ornn deck. Basically, how does each deck score these cheap points in the mid game? That's what you've got to be evaluating. You saw how good Sneaky Deckhand was, right? In an Annie deck. It was so good because it scores points. How do you score those early game points efficiently and get tempo swings? And Drop Border is a brilliant example of how you might do that. Also, Recruits for Victor, another brilliant example of how you might do it. So the Ravenbloom Conservatory is a miss. It's a trade. The Drop Border for the Recruit. But the Drop Border did its job in many ways. It gained a point. That's actually the big value of the Drop Border there. Gained a point. Would have been nice to protect it, I'm sure. I like the look of Ornn, guys, I've got to say. I'm quite interested in this one. Poro Snack draws. This is like the one which I mentioned. It like doubles the ability or copies the ability of the card it's attached to. So you basically just want to like build up your deck and attach this to Ornn. This is a deck which Thermo Beam would wreck. I think it's fair to say. This deck loses to Thermo Beam. This is the kind of matchup you have Thermo Beam in your sideboard for. We see Pickpocket. Pickpocket's brilliant. Blue card. Very, very good in this format. When you play it, you may destroy an opponent's gear that costs 1 or less. That includes gold gear and seals. If you do destroy a gear, you spawn a gold gear token yourself. So it's a huge tempo play that Blue has available. 3 energy, 3 might, big tempo. So it's, the pickpocket's great here. It's often a card that people might put in their sideboard, but it's quite a heads-up decision to just have it in your main deck and maybe sideboard it out if you don't see any gear. Because if you play against someone that's playing seals, and then you have to sideboard your pickpocket in, it feels a little bit sad. You want it just in there from the start. I think like 2 pickpockets in a blue deck seems really good. 3 feels like a bit much to have in the main deck. Maybe you could have a 3rd on the sideboard. I suppose there's also the question, if your opponent's playing pickpockets, do you take your seals out? And I think the answer is no, you don't. So 2 cost items are good against pickpocket. Anything that costs 2 or above can't be hit by pickpocket. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any other gear removal. Maybe on the sideboard, that's where you might see some more gear removal. Something like the, what's it called? The yellow one that's called, it's not Scrap Heap, but it kind of sounds similar. It's like yellow, 2 costs, 1 power, 1 yellow power, and destroy a gear and draw a card. We see Stupefy from Victor. To draw a card mainly. The Orn's down, by the way, +6. Yeah, that's the card I was talking about. It is in the flipping main deck, bro. That, I would be so gutted. That's crazy. If you're queuing into someone that's got pickpocket for your seals and has salvage, yeah, that's the one, salvage, for your guardian angel, it's time to play a new deck, my friend. I'm afraid it's time to play a new deck, mate. Fair play, though, to the Victor player for the tech cards in the main deck. You see the value of that. You would think that these cards belong in the sideboard, right? But you can sideboard them out. And there's so much equipment in the metagame. Victor has units, right? It's one of the decks that has units in abundance because you can spawn Victor tokens all the time. You've always got something to play to score those cheap points. You can go wide. Again, that's so much about what this game is about. It's about how do you score those cheap points. But yeah, this is heartbreaking for the Ornn player. They're going to get cooked. Yeah, but it's also like, it's unfortunate for the Ornn player that they're going to be mad, right? Fair enough. But in game 2 and game 3, even if like the pickpocket and the salvages were on the sideboard, they're still probably going to get cooked in game 2 and 3. And you just have to evaluate, right, if your deck gets cooked this hard by some pretty bad tech cards, well, salvage is actually pretty good, but you know what I mean, then it's kind of on you, right? Now, in fairness, let's not forget best of prizing is available, so I'm not criticising the Ornn player in any way. It's unfortunate for them that they've queued this matchup, but you can probably see why it's not on the top of people's list to be one of the best decks in the format. When you have a matchup that's this bad, it's hard to justify playing a deck like that. And it's not like this is a specific matchup. Like, there's a lot of gear removal. These 3 might guys, the pickpockets are pretty popular. The salvage is quite popular too, from what I've seen. I'm also like already trying to start looking at what gear removal cards I can play in my color pairings. I'm starting to get ready for some Spiritforged videos as well. Basically, I'm just trying to like learn the game a lot at the moment and watch a lot, play a lot. And as a result, that's going to help make my videos a lot better, because I certainly need to get better at Riftbound. I think, though, I'm really, really liking my chances to win a best of card in Bologna. It's so much my tournament, guys. Right at the start of a set, new format, rewarding unorthodox legend picks. Like, the logic is just find a really good deck with an unorthodox legend that's like good enough to win the whole tournament, right? That's what you've got to do. How hard can it be? But like, my long-term viewers know that like my thing is like playing weird decks. I back myself to like optimize a weird deck, which is really, that's basically what you need to do for a best of card, right? You find a weird leader, you optimize the living daylights out of it, and you get really, really good at playing it. If you've got an optimized list, like, I think the skill ceiling in Riftbound, the deck building is so high. So basically the plan is I'm going to be streaming quite a lot of Riftbound games over the next few weeks. I'd probably just leave the deck that I'm planning on playing off stream. If there's like a deck which I'm interested in playing at this point, I'll play it off stream because I don't want to give anybody my deck list because I have that much of a belief in my deck building that, like, the thing is in this format, someone else having your deck list is so bad because, like, if your deck list leaks and then lots of people start playing it, it kind of defeats the whole point of playing the deck in the first place, right? Because you're trying to play it, so no, you're trying to play a deck which nobody else plays. Let's go, Denny. What blue-green for Ari gear killer will you play? I don't know. I actually just wrote down on a document a video I would like to make is looking at all the gear and gear removal available in Spiritforged. It's quite an interesting video idea because I want to start making more videos. I'll be right back. Be right back. Game's over, but we'll let it play out. I imagine it's going to be a 2-0. Big moments. Sorry guys, I'm just getting some bits and bobs done. So yeah, I'll be right back. I'll probably rewatch this one a little bit in a minute. I was using the restroom the whole time. All right, guys. I'm back. I mean, I thought it was going to be a blowout, so I'm going to watch the end of the game again. I say again, I didn't watch the first part, if I'm honest. We could also play some games like in between. It's just kind of going to be a chill stream. We're mainly going to be watching, but I wouldn't actually mind playing a few myself. I'm kind of itching. The Ornn deck, I like the look of with the drop border, but yeah, the gear removal is going to be too much of a deal breaker with it, I would imagine. So this is the retreat. It's basically like a flash in green that you can hide. It's pretty damn interesting. I have a feeling it might be at action speed if you play it as a spell. Ornn's pretty chunky. This is the one that doubles the power of Ornn's ability. So it's now deflect 4 and +2 might for every gear. It doesn't actually have any might on it itself, but the fact that it's an item twice. So they kill the Kaiser rather than paying deflect 4. They could have tried to pay the deflect 4. The thing is if you pay the deflect 4 and then it gets countered, you still play the deflect cost and you just nothing triggers. So the deflect 2 plays incredibly well alongside Green's ability to counter. So I do think the Ornn deck's very interesting. The fact that they're actually pushing this really close, despite playing against a deck which is very, very heavily teched for them, is maybe suggests that we did them a little bit of a disservice in the previous game, because maybe they just got a little bit unlucky in that game, right? Their opponent maybe hit the nuts, but they don't seem to be folding quite as much on this occasion. But can they? Okay, the call of the week comes through. Guardian Angel eating up, but that means there's not going to be a hold. So it would have to be a double point score. I suppose one question I have for the Ornn deck, when I played against it, I was speaking to the guy and I said, if you have ganking, you've probably got me, but is there really ganking available? Well, the boots are a purple card that already has the item that gives ganking. I'm not too sure much comes to mind. That's also why Misfortune looks quite interesting as like a mid-range deck. Like just the ability to give something ganking could be interesting. Like first mate ganking, right? Like first mate plus Misfortune. Imagine that kind of combo here. Ornn doesn't have access to that kind of closer. It doesn't have Ride the Wind. It doesn't have the Lucian movement. It doesn't have like a showstopper. How is it closing the game out? How does this deck close the game out? You have to be able to close the game out here, or you're not a serious deck. How could they do it? Something like a Sprite Call. The drop border would be another way, right, that they play. Maybe just not enough ways of doing it. Sprite Call would not be a card you would want to play in this deck. The drop border is not outstanding. Does green have anything which can enter accelerated on the cheap? The field. Interesting. Yeah, I quite like that battlefield. Is there any green cards that enter accelerated already? Probably not. I mean, the first mate, by the way, what a card that is. First mate's it's another reason to play Lucian. That card's just brilliant. It doesn't really get much better than first mate. Windwall, so spell countered. Ornn actually takes it, right? So we go to game 3. Let's go. Unless this was already game 3, but there's no way, right? I wasn't gone for that long. So very excited to see Ornn actually take it. You have to ask the question, what went wrong for Victor? I didn't see the start of the game, in fairness. I'm not too convinced Victor's a great deck either. What's the new yellow and blue? Renata or something? I have a feeling that one could be pretty strong. I haven't played it too much. Or I haven't played it at all, but I have a feeling Renata might actually be a little bit better. I don't know. Victor is strong. I think being able to spawn a recruit is good. I would say that Victor will age well, but maybe at the moment, I'm not quite sure. I think the game at the moment is extremely tempo-oriented. He almost feels a little bit slow. You reckon Renata's worse? I haven't played it. Victor is good, but arguably worse than Lux. Okay, interesting. Maybe I take it all back. I mean, look at the drop border. This is a way to score some cheat points. Much better than a Sprite Call. If you compare this to Sprite Call, which has seen play in blue decks, I've played it in my own blue decks to score cheat points. The Sprite disappears. This drop border costs 1 more, but you get 1 might more and moreover it stays. Like, it's significantly better, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I think Victor is very fascinating. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. The blue Victor, for me, would be the way to go. Interesting, Jace. Victor's a deck I've hardly ever played. And on my podcast, I've got blue and yellow colours. Don't be deceived, mate. I don't think I've ever played Victor. The only blue and yellow I've played is Lux when I'm playing Proving Grounds. And I'm usually losing. I liked the look of Azir more than I like the look of Victor, I think. Azir looks pretty good. Yellow-green. I'm kind of interested in doing a tier list. Now that I've actually been playing a bit. Riftbound tier list for set 2. Like before the tournament, like before I've watched the tournament much, would be a good time to do it as like a prediction, right? Or sort of as we're going. All the week came through, but Ornn is standing tall. That's all that really matters. 5-0 might also matter a wee bit. I mean, this is the power of the non-committal points. Victor goes wide by default. Going wide is good. Victor can't be bad. I've got to say Victor can't be bad. It's got to be a good leader, mate. I think the blue Victor as well. Not this flipping yellow Victor nonsense. What do you need that for, bro? Like spells in this game, now that the card pool got bigger and you can play... There's twice as many spell cards in the game, right? And you've got gear and all this stuff. The amount of units that you need to play, that you want to play, is actually significantly down. And an advantage that Victor has is an advantage that sort of Teemo has in my mind as well, which is that you always have a curve. So you can build your deck very differently with Victor. You don't need to play any 2-drops at all in a Victor deck in terms of units, which allows you to play more spells. And yeah, that's what we're seeing Victor do here. They're just going wide. They're scoring points. They're chipping away. They're not really committing anything. And look at that. 3 a turn. Not bad. 3 recruits a turn. Let's consult the past. Consult the past is a good card, no doubt. Maybe it's a little bit overshadowed this format, though, by the purple draw engine. But Consult the Past is going to continue to be a good card. Now, this is a card that I have not seen in action, but I know it's an expensive purple card that does something quite spicy, so I'm taking a look. It's one of the more expensive purple cards to play. And I can't find her. Who? I can't find her, mate. That's probably because... Is she green? Who? She's green. When I'm at a battlefield, opponents can't score points. Bro, I don't know about that. Is she good? When I'm at a battlefield, okay, opponents everywhere can't score points. Yeah, that's cool. Would be weird for Ornn to have purple cards, yeah. That wouldn't be ideal, would it? Yeah, interesting card. So basically it is just Ornn accepting I am this slow. Doesn't bode well for me, guys, in how I evaluate Ornn. When I look at Aurelia, Aurelia is doing what Ornn does, except it's 20 times quicker. Why would you be as slow as Ornn? I just don't think it ever works in this game to be intentionally as slow as this Ornn deck was built. I think Victor made hard work of this, not to 2-0. Fair play to the Ornn player. It's a cool deck. But if you compare this to what Aurelia does, they both make one big guy, but Aurelia is like going flip, 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 just moving between battlefields. Whereas the Ornn player is just like slow. Extremely slow. Let's remind ourselves of the meta breakdown. Yeah, Aurelia's second most represented deck. I think as time goes on, Aurelia will be the biggest riser in percentage. I think 12% is quite low for this deck. I think it will go up. Victor will go down probably. Ornn will go down. 12 Ornn is quite a lot. 12 is here. I'm surprised by a few things. I'm surprised Teemo's so low. I'm surprised Ari is so low. I'm actually surprised Jinx is so low. Like, bro, if you go to this tournament, they have best of pricing, right? And you just play Jinx. You reckon Ezreal's good? Do you have a list? I'm very curious in looking at Ezreal because I'm a bit of a blue-purple aficionado. But I'm always a bit controversial in my blue-purple takes because nobody else played blue-purple the way that I suggested they should in set 1. Well, actually, I believe it got a top 16 in China. Big up the Chinese, mate. think the Chinese Teemo players, bro, need to be looked at. They were, damn. Blue Seal Teemo in set 1, man. Blue Seal Teemo. Fizz, Arcane Shift, Rycer, Downwell. Okay, interesting. Downwell. So you play Control, Ezreal. Yeah, makes sense. I like being quick. I'm just an aggro player in most games I play. I like aggro game plans. So I've been testing some Teemo. I think Teemo's good. I like Teemo a lot. I like Teemo a lot in set 1. I think Teemo's most underrated set 1 leader because I think people never really played the list that I would play myself. I never had any real tournaments to prove the deck's value. But I always, from like 4 or 5 months ago, I was always saying, Blue Seal Teemo will go down as the correct way to play Teemo. And I can't believe it never caught on. Blue Seal's in Teemo, man. My buddies, there's a skirmish I could maybe try and go to tomorrow if I can like find my cards. But I would only play if I could find Blue Seals, so I could play Blue Seal Teemo. I would not want to play any other set 1 deck. Low on the Mundo, by the way. I think Mundo kind of misdirected the Teemo decks a bit. I don't know, maybe Teemo's not that good, but I like Teemo. Teemo seems like a good like best of pick. You have Blue Seals? Oh, I want them. I mean, I'm sure if I don't have any by the time I go to Bologna, I'll get some there. But yeah, most likely I play Teemo. Teemo or Jinx would be like the 2 best of cards that would mean the most to me because Teemo's like the deck I've been playing the whole time. Again, I didn't actually play much when the set came out. I mainly played my games before the game was even out. So that's why I'm excited for this little period where I've actually got a tournament to prep for and like I'm actually motivated to learn the game and I've got a lot to learn. And I think the deck building's so skill intensive in this game, which is why I really like my shot. I really, really like my chances. Deck building is what I'm most passionate about when it comes to playing card games. I love to do it. I love to build wacky off-meta decks that I know the matchups inside out and I catch my opponent off guard. That's what I like to do. And Riftbound rewards that so much. That's like the best EV thing to do in Riftbound. So I think I go into this tournament with, well, as long as I put the practice in, which is partly what we're doing right now, possession in hand. I've got a very good opportunity to pop off. So Severe is a very interesting leader. Of course, Misfortune is the competitor in this color combination. And Misfortune's very good. You look at Misfortune and you think, okay, Misfortune has to be an Aurora deck, but that's very wrong in set 2. In set 1, there's no top end, there's no closer for a Misfortune deck. You have Ruin running out, you have Punch First, you have like ways of winning. Now, this Severe deck looks to be a dazzling Aurora deck, perhaps, with Mind Splitter now coming through. What Severe does is you get to play Gold Gear whenever you air power. So I think that if you're looking to play something a bit more aggressive, most likely Misfortune is worth it because the ganking ability is very strong. Misfortune mid-range is real good. Yeah, makes sense to me. It's definitely a deck which caught my eye. Immediately when I was like looking at decks that I wanted to build at first, Misfortune caught my eye, Teemo caught my eye. I was put off a little bit by Misfortune because I felt like it might be represented a bit more. Nice, J-Dog. Good job. Yeah, Teemo's a very fun deck to play. Lots of lines you can take. I like him. He's fun. All right. 3-0 as it stands. I'm kind of tempted to play some games. I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of got the itch to play. Yeah, Humphrey, thanks so much for raid. I'm just going for a pee, guys. Guys, I'm actually going to end the stream there for tonight, but I appreciate you guys hanging out. It was just a bit of an experiment, go live with the stream and see how it did, and yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. We definitely learned quite a lot. I'm going to be watching a lot more of the Riftbound stuff back over the next few days. I'm actually going to play some games myself right now, and funny enough, my girlfriend is teaching her friend how to play Riftbound next door, which is kind of hilarious. So I kind of need to partake in that a little bit as well, don't I? So I might go to a skirmish tomorrow. I should check it out because it would be fun to play and see if I can get a buy for Bologna. But yeah, all right, guys.